Grab yourself a seat and keep those hands in the vehicle at all times. You're about to be taken on a ride through the untamed wilds of internet role-playing. Observe them in their natural habitat.
Okay, please don't fight each other. You're too important to die.
Enjoy the splendor of their spurgery.
Okay, you know what? Fuck this, no.
And feast your eyes upon the questionable creations of internet randoms.
Actually, I've never DM'd before.
This is the Supernova Safari.
Hello, I'm Blake. I play Clara May on the Records of Remnant, so you might know me from there, and please enjoy our podcast.
Yeah, hello, I'm Noah. I'm the Game Master, also known as the Headmaster of this school and academy, as we all know, and I'm here to review some students who have not been doing so well.
Hello, I'm Liam, original voice actor of fan favorite Gwen Aranea of Team Supernova.
Hey, I'm Ben, aspiring E-Clown and voice of Felix Prince from Records of Remnant.
Alright, everyone, so I'm sure you're wondering what we're doing here today. Well, I'd like to welcome you to the Supernova Safari. This show has been like a brainworm in the back of my head and Blake's for a long time, and what we're going to be doing here on this show is reviewing some of the best and most hilarious role-playing content, or the worst, that we can find online. So, for the series, we'll be going for basically an hour-long podcast or so, and you're just going to sit back and listen to us rant about it. We will be listening today, starting our series on a very close topic, close to our hearts, and close to what we do. So you'll have to excuse us for being a little elitist about this, because we are reviewing the Roosterteeth official series, the Grimm Campaign. And oh boy, do we have some thoughts on this. So, why don't we just get right into it today and waste no more time, because we got a lot to go in. Today we'll be reviewing episode 1 and 2 of the Grimm Campaign. You can find them on the Roosterteeth official website for a premium fee. And I'd like to jump off and start talking about this. So, guys, how do you feel knowing that this is a premium product, that only the first episode is free to view on the Roosterteeth website?
Well, we all paid for it, so
awesome.
I feel like we all got pretty messed up.
There's no pirating here at all. But Ben, there's a number of amazing other series on Roosterteeth for premium.
Yeah,
such as
name one.
RWBY!
Hardcore Mini Golf, Dead Little Roosters. I bet you love Camp.
You can see
the
RWBY.
Watch out, man.
The original RWBY show as it airs the day it comes out.
Just, or you could just wait a week.
Or you could be disappointed that much faster.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm still waiting for one that's worth money.
Oh, yeah.
But Ben, Records of Remnant comes out for free.
So this is basically the first topic of discussion I wanted to have in the first place, which is I cannot believe this is a series that they charge money for. And I've learned looking over the Roosterteeth website, which is very difficult to do. I hate the way this website's formatted.
What, like a shitty Netflix?
Basically. They basically rely on the premium content being the early releases for popular shows, and then they just have a shit ton of random shows that are premium for some reason. I can't fathom why the Grimm Campaign is premium. I literally can't understand it. I've tried to think about why I would think they'd be able to justify it being premium, and I'm just convinced. Yeah?
They're just hiding it.
Yeah, basically. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it gets you right.
I think it is being hidden because it is just... I don't know if it's being hidden for the sake of embarrassment or for the sake of, like, I don't know if this is intentional or not, or someone who runs the website's just like, yo, this sucks. We're gonna hide this shit, and we're gonna make this premium. I'd like to think that maybe they're hoping the appeal of it would really drag people in, and well, I would say that since the first episode is free, it is
Starts off good. Starts off strong.
Yeah. Well, hey, they got the official voice actor of Crow in there for a clip.
Yeah, that's a point on this list I got.
I really love budget Vic Medagna.
I love fake Vic Mingo. All right. Do we have any more?
I had a point that came out that I remembered immediately upon rewatching the series, which is, how do you guys feel about the thumbnail title versus the actual title?
Oh my god.
Thank you for saying it.
Yes, thank you.
This baffles me.
Episode 1 in the thumbnail is out of the ship into the frying pan, and then in the actual video player, like the title of the video is the mission.
The mission. This baffles me. I don't know who is doing this and what their motivation is. Once again, I go to the theory, is there some web admin who handles this end of it that does not like this show and tries to do their own take on it by hiding it and calling it different titles? Or is this intentional because they think it'd be like repetitive to see the title twice? I don't understand.
I actually don't know, because it's not like all the other series are like this. A lot of them were podcasty type things, or just like little funny things. So it's not like they're like, episodic show type things, or it's like they have an official title per episode, like an actual a thing like that.
Yeah, I think they might just have no idea how to format the thumbnails for this show to make people try and click on them, since there's no visuals besides like in-game stuff in Tailspire, basically.
Yeah, that is fair. It could also be their editor, because that guy's actually pretty funny.
I do.
The editing is probably the best part.
Yeah,
okay, we need to say this, but episode 2 has some of the most erratic editing ever. We'll get into it, but
we'll get into that.
Shit.
I feel very bad for this editor and would like to say he does a great job, because I can tell from the way these episodes sound, and we've watched a lot of the series already. You can really tell there is an editor who is aggressively cutting chaff from the show, and considering what's not considered chaff in the show, I can only imagine how excruciating these would be to sit through if there was all that other stuff that is cut out around them. So I would genuinely like to extend praise to him, because I think he makes this a much more coherent and easily digestible show, because holy fuck.
Yeah, like, it must be so annoying. Like, I've been easy with Records of Remnant, because one, I don't put as much effort in as that, but two, it's like, we're a lot more structured when we do it, where it's like, we're usually pretty good about just like, okay, we're just doing scene after scene, no editing required, until someone says like, oh, I gotta get up for a minute, cut, or like, oh, I'm gonna go get food, cut. But like, other than that, it's pretty simple, albeit, but this editor has to do a lot of work to make them entertaining.
Yeah, he does a lot of good gags. I like the editor. He or she. Props to the editor.
Yeah,
I have not looked it up. If it's available, I just haven't cared to look it up.
No, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, because episode 2 made me feel like, oh no, they're really trying to save this. And now that I think about it, yeah, they really probably do cut so much from this, man.
There's probably so many just awkward pauses with no one saying anything that they cut out.
Undoubtedly.
I bet there's a lot of wrestling with Tailspire, which I'll get into later. I have a prevalent theory on the Tailspire question, as we'll call it throughout the series. I have a lot of thoughts on this. As a headmaster myself, choosing a program to host your online based tabletop games is obviously a big consideration, which might seem really stupid, because most of the time the answer is just go use Roll20, haha. But there is a lot of thought you have to put into that, and Tailspire is an interesting choice, is how I'll put it politely until we get into it.
Yeah, so, any more pre-points before we start talking about the actual episodes?
No, I'm good. I think we should head into it.
Yeah, let's get into episode 1.
So, Season 1, Episode 1, The Mission. Out of the ship, into the frying pan. Instantly, I want to kill myself. Eddie calls himself the headmaster. This is a horrible joke. Is there much to even say about this?
Well, I think it leads into, and I'm sorry
They're
if
not
I'm
even
jumping
in a
the gun.
school.
They're not even in school. It doesn't make fucking
That's
sense.
okay. I gotta ask: are we gonna go, or should we go character by character here?
I have notes on every character.
Yeah, I did write
think
down
this is
their intro.
important.
I did write down their intros, but I
Yeah.
want to hit something before that,
Please.
which is, I did write Headmaster Lamau in here. Obviously, because it is very, I think it's very funny, but not in the way I think they intend. It's not in the way they intend, where it's like Headmaster, like RWBY, where I think it's funny that you'd even refer to yourself as such, because I just think it's such a weird
I would
term.
Go ahead, Ben.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm sorry if I'm leaping on there a little too soon, but as Eddie puts it, they have their own system that they're running.
Okay,
They
so
have their, no, but that leads into the headmaster thing.
that does
Because
lead
it's
into the
much
headmaster.
like a dungeon master.
a game master, a dungeon master.
Dungeon master.
I do have to say, I'm very proud of them, because there is a word to be said that I think I need to say, and we will be going over this a lot in the Safari series, because this series, we have this series specifically on the Grimm Campaign, of course, but we will be covering a variety of different shows and games, and even just topics on Roll20. And we will once again, time and time again, cover this one point. So we're going to talk about it right now, and probably more in the future, but I'll try to be very succinct right now. Most people, when they think of tabletop gaming, only assume of D&D in its current edition, 5th edition, which has become hilariously popular. It's a fucking insane rise in the ecosystem of tabletop gaming. I don't think D&D has been more popular than it is right now. And because of that, there's this, while unintentionally negative, it's still there, feeling that people should just, well, I'm just going to play 5e, but like with whatever setting I want. Which is, now, I'm not here to tell you how to have your fun, but 5th edition is not a good system to try and force to work towards each setting. And so I'm very proud of them for for choosing to make their own system. You know,
Yes.
I think we should give them a applause instead of just going forward haphazardly and trying to like awkwardly homebrew things into a system that doesn't really fit the sort of kinetic flow and like action style of RWBY, something that would be like kind of limit them and make them have awkward like decisions in combat that make them feel like less like RWBY characters and more like a Dungeons and Dragons party desperately trying to grapple with trying to be cooler than they're allowed to be. You know, things like that. So round of applause, everyone, for not just resorting to the basic system, right? You know, we got to give it to them.
So this is what we're doing.
Hey, give him a big old fucking hand.
Give them a big old
Except, I think there's a little caveat here.
Oh, caveat.
Wait, I'm sorry, I'm reading in my notes. Oh no, wait, it's just fucking 5th edition.
No, but Ben, they insist upon saying that this is a custom system, don't they?
They're lying.
Yeah, Eddie says that they will release details at later
rules.
Ben,
Yeah, he said
Ben,
they'll release
Ben,
the rules
what
for
was Liam, what was the rule system they said much later they were using?
5th edition.
Of RWBY the tabletop they invented, right? Like the 5th revision, right?
No.
Well, they said they're going to release these rules later, and I mean, Eddie's like he's done this before. Like he's played D&D before. He's like DM'd So I'd like to talk about how this is a premium series where the DM is DMing for the first time, and I want to say that like I don't want to shit on people who are new at DMing inherently, but they've given us such a like just basically justification to be able to do so by making this a premium series. so many of my more snippy like complaints that I would like reserve if this was like, you know, okay, someone's throwing up a YouTube series and they don't have a lot of views or whatever. Like, you know, I would understand, like, critique is good. I like critique, but I wouldn't want to be just like a complete dick if it's clearly something people do for fun and like it's a series they're putting out. Like, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to be rude by default if they did something to encourage, of course. But the fact that they expect money out of me for this, and I'll give Eddie credit, I don't necessarily think he's the worst, but instantly puts a bad taste in my mouth that they're saying they have their own system for this. I don't know if I can really give them the credit that they're just incompetent and don't know how to refer to anything out of D&D as a different game, or if they really think D&D is the only system in the world.
I really think it was,
lied.
I really think it was honestly just to look a bit better, and because they slightly homebrewed like the aura usage thing.
Yes. There is a homebrew thing they use, but they have like aura.
Yes, but I'd also like to tangent a bit by saying I'm now telling Noah this for the first time, but I plan for sometime in the future me and Noah to make a separate video going over our system that Noah made, detailing it and basically linking it for everyone to go use, but also like running through it and explaining it so people can use it as they wish.
Blake just wants me to make the Word document look nicer so I don't feel as embarrassed releasing it. This is his secret method.
Honestly,
pretty based, honestly.
This is
an ambush interview. I respect it.
Thank you. Yeah. But it's just so like people can probably grasp better what we're doing, and like if they feel free, they can just use it because we're not. We have no reserve against people just using the system that Noah made.
I think we could charge money for it.
I mean, hey man, throw us a couple dollars.
I need the blackmail. Give me the money.
Money.
I do have to say, upon rewatching this again, I do see the point of that video, and I think that's a good idea because it is very jarring sometimes to not know what players are capable of.
Yeah.
And the absolute homebrew choice they've made. What I can see from watching the entire series at one point and now revisiting it is what we can assume the homebrew is for 5th edition's sake is they are basically all playing one base class, and then Eddie gives them abilities based off their weapons and their semblances. And they are of varying usefulness and competence, and description also. Later on, very far away, there's a point where Eddie provides upgrades for them, and half the cast upgrades are just never explained. I'm very excited to talk about that point, but I think we've kind of touched upon the rules for now.
Yeah.
Right.
I did have one more thing before I think we get into the actual game.
I do too. What's yours?
I'd like to just bring to attention, from the first episode into the entire series, Carrie will continue to wear his Pokemon hat the entire time.
Yeah, he will never take that hat off.
It will be there every single time.
And I mean, I guess I respect that. But so on the actual episode itself, I want to say that Glinda Goodwitch writes a report to these characters. Never really explained why. Not to these characters. She writes it to Ozpin. Assumedly, Ozpin.
Is it to Ozpin?
Could be Leonardo. I think it's
supposed to be Leo. Oh no, actually, maybe it is supposed to be Ozpin.
She references in the speech that your love of creative stories or something like that. That makes me inclined to believe it's Ozpin. And I like interesting cutaway descriptions like this as a concept. I do have to say, I would not want to work professionally with Glinda Goodwitch because she writes update reports on serious missions like an asshole and includes all these flowery languages and jokes about a situation I just like fucking details on. So, point up one, Glinda Goodwitch, very incompetent at her job. This reads more like someone trying to do a stinger for a D&D game than an official report. Not cool, Glinda. I'm looking for details, not your short story.
Right. So, do we want to touch on Tailspire right now, or save that for later?
No, characters.
No,
we gotta
there,
get characters.
I have a point in Tailspire.
okay,
It's time for characters.
okay,
Who would like to
Characters.
start?
I would like to start. I will do
Alright.
the first character.
Your favorite character, go
yes.
right now.
Oh, my favorite character, or this the first one introduced?
Whichever you want.
Okay, so, from these first 2 episodes, I think my favorite character is probably, Asher Mora, played by Chad.
Yeah, I would agree. Asterisk.
Not for, like, quality reasons.
Yeah, so here we have Asher Mora. He's a Shade Academy graduate, and he's kind of a roguish individual. For all of these characters, I've written my review of their weapons and semblances as they come up, so I'll get into those as we go.
Let me...
general thoughts on Asher Mora. Can I get the room? Liam.
Okay.
I mean, he's kind of just like a cringe rogue archetype.
Hey.
Let me before we discuss his weapon,
But he's the second best.
let me give. He's not my favorite. My actual favorite, like just knowing what I know of the series, is easily he's probably my third, honestly.
Wow.
No,
I'm about to get in a fight.
Well, no, I think Phoenix is my favorite just in general.
Hands down.
Ooh.
And
Got a bit of a Redditor over here, I see.
I have to agree. I think Phoenix is the
And
best.
then I think Pike is my second favorite, purely based off
Okay,
chaos.
hold on. Let's
Okay.
hold up. We're getting too ahead of ourselves.
We're
Okay, but
getting
sorry.
deep.
On Asher, I did write down a very specific note.
Yes.
There, besides like the descriptions of weapons and stuff, which is, give me the money. I want the money. No trust. Money.
Money. I believe Chad's description of Asher is he is a monetarily focused guy who's hard to earn his trust, but when you do, he's down for anything. So if you're good enough friends, anal's on the table. But I know what he means. This is a good archetype for certain characters, I would say, necessarily. It's hard to critique this by a basis, but very easy to critique it by piloting. Ben, what are your thoughts? I don't think you could.
On Asher?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I need to say this. I think that Asher has the best player behind him. However, I do think that at a point, he gives up, and that's what takes Asher down. And as Asher for himself here, I really like the roguish archetype myself. However, I do think that he tries to be really too much in the first 2 episodes. And we have quotes such as, you're gonna regret it if you call me stupid.
I love that.
I'm sorry if I'm skipping a little far ahead.
I love
That is a very funny quote from Asher because I do believe it is Pike who calls him stupid.
Yeah.
And he basically under his breath says, "Dude, don't call me stupid. I'll kill you." Like he literally is the D&D rogue. It's
The best part is he says it, and then it hard cuts, and it's not acknowledged by anybody.
Anyone.
It's just ignored.
And that is what I had to say about the editor, is there must be so many weird little kind of petered out interactions that he just goes, yeah, this is cringe, and cuts out. So once again, clap for Editor Chan. Thank you, Editor. This is a point I want to kind of say, that this game starts with incredible awkward energy. Now, every first session of a D&D game has this sort of energy to it at first. I will not be able to really thrust hard blame upon people.
My fucking voice cracked. The first line I said is Claire in the Records of Remnant game.
That's a classic.
It is a classic, and we have the benefit of, we're not like just coworkers at a company. We're pals on Discord and stuff. We know each other we have a slight rapport built up already. Like, we're ready. We know how to interact. So it's easier to get rid of that awkward energy.
Me, Noah, and Liam have gone out drinking before. We are.
Yeah, not Ben. He's a loser.
Well, Ben has his own.
Listen, I'm a bum that was picked up on Roll20.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like a native, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Ben is one of you. We've reformed him from a local into a civilized man.
Exactly. But my point here is that, and also, like, in my case, in the Records of Remnant, it's not like my first time around the DM wheelhouse, so I don't have as much fear that Eddie probably does. And you can really feel that anticipation mixed between anxiety and excitement that Eddie has, and there's lots of points where I think it gets really brought out more so, and I want to talk about those later for different reasons. But this incredible awkward energy is met with some different reactions from the players. Asher, for instance, as we're saying, really does feel like he's forcing this character hard. And you quickly see these... I think Chad does the best of this, where he feels out how he's going to play this character. And like everyone said, I don't think Ash is a bad character necessarily, but holy fuck, this is not the party to have this character in, because there are some other people who don't really play well with this archetype, since they might be psychotic.
Yes,
and really undersell Asher's grit.
Yes, exactly. And I think a cool aspect of him that ends up backfiring way later, but you can even see it like in the beginning in episode 2, is the fact that he knows the area more than the other people and is more familiar with the locations, and
which is a really cool starting point.
And I think that is really interesting. It is really cool to be like, okay, one of the party is actually more informed on the location and like more of a local. That is a good idea. And I think it can be really good, but I think Eddie completely lets that down, and in fact, much later on, makes it a detriment to him. Makes it a detriment to, I don't know, just Asher, but at least Chad. I think it actually hurts him, and probably hurts his motivation, like, in the actual, like, game to even try, because Eddie almost punishes him for doing that.
Okay, can I make a point on this?
Please.
I really feel like, dude, I want to talk about this in episode 2, but if we're talking about this, we have to talk about some... This, episode 2, is Chad get fucked. Because Asher gets fucked so often. Okay, let's think. Okay, oh, dude, you failed. Dude, your armor class is too low, dude. Hey, you got stung in the ass.
Hold on, guys.
We have to save that, but I'm so excited.
Guys, and I have a long rant on the type of
Eddie descriptions.
I have a long rant on the type of GM I believe Eddie is, and how he seems to word things against players. But
I really have to wonder what Eddie's GMs were like that taught him to play like this.
I don't know. Ben, you want to tell us?
Self-taught?
No, fucked up, dude.
I don't know, something about antagonism between players and GMs.
Maybe.
But otherwise, I think we should move on to the other characters.
No, before we move on too fast. Sorry, what were you saying, Blake?
I was going to ask Liam to detail one of the next characters.
Okay, before we go into that, we gotta go to Noah's weapon section. Because as a man who is at the helm of Records of Remnant, not only do I have my finger on the pulse of reviewing players' character designs at first, but I have also created multitudes of weapon character designs and things like this by now. I'm very, very much up my own ass with reviewing characters' cohesion, weapons, and things like that. Big immediate thing I'm gonna say for 3, count them, 3 of the fucking player characters, and Asher's one of them, gets a big X on his character review. What is Asher Mora's inspiration? There's nothing! See, in RWBY, there's a concept for your characters. Every character that's relevant to the story, even non-combatant huntsmen, just supposed to be any named important enough characters, supposed to have a mythological or historical or some urban legend, that style, fictional root, right?
Yes.
I know we might not have ever actually talked about everyone's in Records of Remnant, so I'd like to give a quick table discussion. Liam, what is Gwen Arena's origin?
Arachne.
Yes, from the Greek fables. You can tell, because she has a background character named Athena. It makes sense. That's why their little interactions like that. Ben, would you like to tell what Felix's background inspiration is?
Yeah, Felix is Bambi, dude.
It's base. That's why his master is referred to as the Old Prince, like Bambi in the original story. Blake, yours is probably the one we probably allude to the most, but what is Clara May's inspiration?
Clara's Ariel from The Little Mermaid.
You can see it in various historical or backstory characters that Clara has, such as her grandpa or Skipper and Erza are inspired by them. It's things like that. These details are here to give a little bit of a nod to the creative process that Montione brought with RWBY. It's a very cool part, one of my favorite parts of the entire series. I have mixed feelings on RWBY, but I love this thematic element to it. It's really cool. I find it really fun for getting creative because you can play it very straight. You can kind of remix the stories a little bit. It's so cool to base a character off this. And 3 of the fucking players just don't. Asher, what the fuck is he based off? Am I wrong? I couldn't find anything.
Oh, yes, by the way, just going over again. Viridian is based off of Little John from Robin Hood.
Which is why you have the Blythe Buddies, who are a joke on the Merry Men.
Yes.
I thought he was based off Ronald McDonald.
I thought. Wait, Brutus?
What the fuck?
Wait, he's based off Brutus.
Shut the fuck up.
No. He's based off Judas.
Right. I always get those two mixed up.
Okay.
But yes.
But back to Asher.
It's because Viridian's so sus.
Sorry, Blake. Do you have a point? I know I'm going on.
I was also going to say, I think Clarice is the most easily recognizable because the biggest part of her backstory is something along the lines of Ursula destroying your village.
Yeah, so you're supposed to do these because it's fun to kind of have a skeleton to work with. And RWBY's good because you don't have to be very stringent with it. You can be pretty loose with it as long as it's there in some form of inspiration. So I don't think it's too taxing. And unless I'm missing these, I've never been able to find most of their inspirations. Now, let's talk about Fortune Fangs, Asher's weapon. I give this a solid C. This is an average fucking weapon that's brought down by a few details. It's kind of bland, but in an okay way. It's on color scheme. It's in character thematic scheme. Big fucking problem. Fortune's Fang has 2 forms. It has its Swordbreaker forms, and it has its Glaive form. No one on this fucking show knows what a glaive is. I believe the glaive form is like a boomerang blade, like spinning blade. A glaive is like a polearm, guys.
Yes.
So, demerit. I know you can refer to that as a glaive, but that is not the description I would use.
I don't know where this first happened. I don't want to say it's Warcraft, but like there's always referred to as like a war glaive, which is like what they think it is. But a glaive is like the polearm glaive.
Yes.
Whereas a war glaive is
the hand thing. The reason it's called a war glaive, and this is kind of reaching into some really autistic hiss stuff, but you're thinking of the naming conventions for these are like a war scythe, where there are terms for tools that are repurposed into a more battle-ready form. So, in like the old times when farmers would have to fucking get a polearm because they're getting pulled in by their local lord to fight, they would take their shitty harvester scythes and repurpose them as a long glaive sort of thing, be called a war scythe. No one fought with actual scythes. They were more like a bladed polearm because they'd bend the blade back and refit it in, so it's like an edged halberd thing. The idea behind war glaives is kind of the same. It's taking the blades of a glaive and repurposing them in a different form, thus a war glaive. Sounds cool, fantasy weapon. It's fucking Illidan has it. You could call those things that Klingons have kind of war glaives. It's like that term. That's specifically what they're going for. And that just gets up my ass. Once again, is this a worthwhile point to nitpick? Maybe not, but I like nitpicking characters, and they're charging me money for this series, so fuck you. Last point on Fortune's Fang. and I also bring this up specifically because Chad brings it up. He says he likes sword breakers because not enough people use them. The sword breaker side, okay. I mean, sword breaker's a cool design. We'll get into the definition of what a huntsman is referred to as in this series later that I'm going to complain about. But I'm very confused necessarily why a huntsman would deem it important to design sword breakers when they're trained professionals to hunt Grimm. Now, Asher's kind of a sketchy guy, so I guess he's expecting to fight people with weapons more often, where a sword catcher or sword breaker would be useful. However, then I go back to, well, is there that many fucking bladed weapons? I guess they're in Mistral. It's based off Japan, maybe. Still kind of fucking weird, but hey, he really likes his weapons, which kind of bumps it up a bit. So that's why I've come to like a solid C on him. And now I'm done with my autistic weapon segment.
I would like to add something.
Yes.
I didn't know we were going to talk about it like this, but I did for my season 2, my episode 2 notes. I said, hey, it says question: Are sword breakers cringe?
I do
cringe?
have that against a lot of my points. I literally just go like, here's my point, keck or cringe.
Discuss. Yes, keck or cringe.
Yes, okay. Noah, you've been talking a shit ton, so I would like to hand it to Liam. Liam, what is your opinion on Asher Mora and his sword-breaking weapons?
Gosh, I feel like sword breakers just do not fit into RWBY at all.
Yes.
Like, even if you did fight, like, a human who had a sword, why the fuck would it break? These RWBY weapons are badass and cool and look fucking amazing.
Yes!
You know?
Exactly!
Like, who the fuck in RWBY has a sword?
Like John. Is John...
Felix, I guess.
That'd be cringe as fuck.
Yeah, if Croamora's got snapped, like... Sword catching, sure, but sword breaking? Like, I guess against jobbers, but it seems so pointless.
Felix, your sword broke because you fought that strong man!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, stay tuned for these characters to show up, by the way. Okay. We're spending too much fucking time on Asher. We gotta move on.
Okay, yeah, Liam, would you like to bring us to a roster Sky?
Oh, yeah. I mean, what is there to say about a roster Sky? She is just such a character with so many great moments in these first 2 episodes.
Boy, I like
with those fabulous one-liners such as
No, you're forgetting.
Oh, I wrote down a quote from her.
Arastra has trouble. She has trouble trusting people. God, she has such trouble trusting people.
Loner.
She's a bit of a loner.
Okay.
What race is she, Liam?
I don't know. She's got weird feet.
Ding, ding, ding. I wrote this down.
Something stupid.
Arastra Sky, is a, why can I not find it?
Played by Laura Yates, as we should say. We're going down these.
Did I write it down somewhere?
While Blake is looking for his notes, I'd like to point out now, I'm not here to be too antagonistic towards people, but for, let's say, Chad James, you know, he's worked as a voice actor, writer, and director on things, but on Roosterteeth, he's mainly just a voice actor, I believe. Now, Laura is a bit more of an interesting character as a person, and Eddie has this quality, too, where he is much higher up in the chain of involvement with RWBY. Laura Yates is actually the lead producer of RWBY, so whenever you look at this and her involvement with her actions, interacting with the world, however they go, good or bad, you can always, in the back of your head, smile and go, damn, this is one of the person with the most influence and control in the series production of RWBY. Oh, I love that.
I found it. Rastra is a servile, a mountain cat of sorts, known for its ability to jump 15 feet in the air. And she is a cat faunus. And this brings up a discussion that I would like to have specifically with everyone, but I think Ben has the most view on it because he's in fact playing a faunus, is the one trait discussion, because she has not only her like cat leg, like hind legs you can see in her art, but she also has weird blotchy skin. And that is certainly not one trait, I believe.
Ooh,
yeah.
I gotta stop you there.
Big freckles, man.
I gotta stop you there.
Yeah.
Weird blotchy skin is not because she's a faunus.
Are you sure? Because serviles are a spotted cat.
No, she was a coal miner, though.
Yeah, she's a miner. That's why she has
they
like
black?
dust on
I
her.
thought they were blue.
Those are... those are definitely not dirt stains, right?
They are.
Maybe
They
they're
100% are dirt stains.
I don't know. Like, I have not been able to find a specific point to this, going either way. But officially on the currently updated wiki, and I know these are fan wiki, not ever official enough to rely on. I just don't know if this has ever been brought up. I have to scan more through these guys' Twitter and the RTX panel on the Grimm Campaign, which we might have to cover at one point. But they are referred to as blemishes, not stains. So these are just something she has.
It's supposed because she's a minor.
Don't
look like dirt stains.
I'm looking at the art now, and that is definitely more like darkish and more black. I actually think that's probably closer to being dirt stains.
Okay, dirt stains.
But this does pull up the question of mold.
Does she not clean her face?
No.
No, it's because it's supposed to be like an... Okay, it is kind of a bad call to make that like her pose.
I mean, and there's multiple different model shots of her doing like facial reactions. It's like, I know, like, yeah, characters have funny things on their faces, but am I honestly supposed to, when I think of a roster, just assume she's dirty? Is that what you're telling me? Okay, fair enough. Okay, I guess she's a lass who gets into things.
I don't know why a roster is like... I know she's from like a mining family.
Yeah, but like a family of famous miners.
Why?
Question mark?
Why the fuck is like why is she a huntsman? Is that we've watched the whole series.
I
don't think it's ever talked about.
No, never. Well, I think the only one who I think one of the only people who go into it are Asher or Pike, and everyone else not really.
Phoenix has like little touches every now and
then. Well, that's one thing I'll get into more as we go into the series. Is Phoenix is clinical ignorant or being clinically ignored for relevancy.
What the fuck?
Yeah, what?
What is this? So I'm reading her wiki page right now.
Okay.
And I'm looking at it.
Live note taking.
Well, I was just curious. I was like, I want to get a picture of her to see for the splotches.
Yes.
It says she is approximately 3 to 4 years older than Pike, right?
Yes, we have to talk. Thank you. This is the point I was going to talk about.
This confuses me on the point that they bring up.
Yes, we are going to cover that later. But yes, that's good.
I also went to Haven Academy.
I would also say that I have since changed my position as I found sketches of her originally, and it looks like in the original sketches they were dirt splotches. So she's dodging the one trait requirement.
I believe the one trait requirement is kind of cringe because there are just people.
It's been broken in the show.
Yeah, there are people with like fish lower bodies, and it's like
we don't have to get to it here.
Yeah.
Oh my god, man! Please put that into. Please put that into the fucking episode. this thing, Bennis.
Oh god!
That's her original art. The one you posted, not the one Ben posted.
Mine? Yeah. Those were concept art.
Why'd they make it shitty?
Yeah.
Why did they make it shitty?
Those are all better.
It's another fucking Psy from Persona 5 situation.
You're right. Okay, last quick thing on Arasta's appearance before we get into anything else, because there's nothing of her character to talk about. She's got backwards knees. What a freak. Arasta is a freak. She walks around barefoot. Her fucking animal trait is horrific.
We need to talk about this.
Oh, man.
Laura is a plank of fucking wood. I'm sorry, but Laura is a plank of fucking wood. She never does anything, and the only thing that she says is, and I'm not going to ruin this yet because this needs to be comedically timed.
Yes.
The only thing that she ever says that made me actually drop my jaw and like it's like I find it kind of funny is what she says at the end of episode 2.
I wrote that entire quote down.
Now the problem I have is this will only get worse as the series goes on. Arastra is bigged up by everyone, and she continually fails to never do anything critically rewarding of such a position. It's very frustrating to see everyone in a game try and make some person be the leader and have them just not make up to it.
Yeah, and I know, like Records of Remnant. But I would also like to say,
love you, Liam.
I would also like to say, now this is sort of a spoiler, but I don't think they don't even make a big deal of it. Arastra Sky, when they form their team officially, is gonna be the team leader of their team.
She's gonna be the leader, and when she was at Haven Academy, she was her team leader there too. Arastra, natural born leader, guys.
Arastra better than Clara.
She's like the least likely to be leader. Of
Yeah,
all
I
these
know.
four.
Cause she.
You think it'd be
I
Chad?
will be fair. It's not necessarily because Laura does anything bad. It's just that Laura doesn't do enough to make me really understand why. Initially, everyone starts referring to Arastra as like, you got to put up with idiots, right? But I mean, like, putting up with Arastra is like putting up with a piece of wood. I don't think that's a positive.
It's definitely
Asher's the one.
Asher's the one giving off the appearance of like, he literally says in episode 2 to a character, he's like, I'm not with these people by choice.
Yeah, Asher seemed poised to be the guy who would become the reluctant leader and have to shape up and kind of become more like less standoffish and more concerned with others. Like that seemed like a character like arc that I could see happening because he'd take charge of certain situations. Sometimes he'd do things by himself, and sometimes he'd work with others and go well. And he'd have these little small moments where Chad would have this character interaction with someone. I'm like, I could see this guy being the leader.
Yeah. It's definitely that, and it just like Asher definitely feels like he fits that role better because like throughout the series you'll see that he's the one usually kind of dealing with the plot. Like he's the one taking care of the most like talking to of NPCs like in critical ways.
Yeah, Pike and Phoenix definitely get some.
No, we need to get over to them.
Pike and Phoenix. I believe Pike and Phoenix are a buddy duo of sorts.
Yeah. Quick Noah section to talk about weapons. Da-da-da-da-da-da. All right, Windless.
Can I make fun of it first?
What'd you say, Liam?
Can I make fun of it first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Turning a pickaxe into a crossbow is so obvious and boring.
Yes! Holy shit! Exactly. Liam has put it so succinctly.
It's shaped like a T. It's a crossbow.
It is literally the laziest fucking weapon possible.
Can I say, I like a pickaxe as a weapon, but it becoming a crossbow is like, it's a little...
I think...
I
think a pickaxe is pretty good, but I would honestly like it to be used in a similar way to how Nadeshiko uses her Sukaban in Records of Remnant that Noah did. It's not in like the new version spoilers of her using it like a bow, but of literally just like hitting things. Like I would love to see like, because I mean you're a huntsman, you're pretty dexterous. Like literally your range attack is you throw up a dust crystal, hit it with the pickaxe, and it cracks and flies at someone and explodes.
Yeah, there could be embedding in a Grimm, and while it's pinned down, firing from the top side. Like maybe some dust or something. Like the critical underuse of certain characters' weapons will definitely become more and more of an issue.
Oh yeah, but that's down to them playing in fight.
Yeah,
maybe a third form could have saved this weapon.
100%. If you were gonna go something simple, third form would be good. Windless, I give it a D. I will say the one thing I like about Windless is at least its design and its appearance looks okay enough. And I like the name Windless. It's a clever name to name a weapon like a pickaxe. It's just not doing it in the actual application of it. I will say Arastra makes use of the crossbow a lot more than the pick, I think. And, that leads to being a little more vanilla with how you use things. If you're just in gun form, you have to try and actually be creative. And, well, it's Laura, so she doesn't try much. No offense to, her attempts, but they don't really go anywhere. So I think that's all we can say about Arastra for a long time, right?
Please move to our guy.
Her semblance comes up in session 2, but we can cover it later.
Ben and Blake, you guys haven't introduced a character yet. Which of you wants to tackle Pike?
I gotta take Pike.
Please.
Because I have to talk about this because Carrie, it's Shawcross, right? That's a lot of
Yes, Carrie Shawcross.
Carrie is the most obnoxious Motherfucker. No, like, he is so obnoxious, it hurts. Now listen, and I don't want to get too much into it just right now, but Pike is so awful. Listen, everyone else is playing RWBY season 3 and up. He's playing RWBY season 1. He is Looney Tunes to the max. He is playing Woody Woodpecker, and everyone else is like, Jesus fucking Christ, Carrie, shut up. Take your hat off, you're balding.
Come on.
It's what the point of the hat is.
And here's the thing, that's what the point of the hat is. Listen, Carrie is so fucking annoying, and also Pike. Oh my god, we're not gonna use the semblance because it's not revealed till way later. But oh my god,
Keeps, if you want to sponsor us, by the way.
Cringe.
Oh my god, it's so bad.
Carrie is the embodiment of cringe, and guess what? He made the character that is the embodiment of cringe.
And guess
It's
what?
awful.
He's one of the lead writers of the show, and he's one of the people who I'm sure he must be new to D&D because he feels so uncomfortable in it.
Ben,
Yeah.
would you like to... There are some key descriptions he gives for his character's inspiration and Pike Wright in general. Would you like to go over them?
I have the quote if you don't have it.
I think I forgot the exact quote.
So, as I put in my notes, Carrie starts off sprinting out the gate with, Pike Wright watches this world's equivalent of anime, which is a horrific sentence considering that's a soft canonization of Remnant having shitty anime.
Oh my god.
Pike also went to Shade for 1 year, then went to Haven. Don't ask about what happened in the 1 year in Shade! Ha ha! Winks at camera! Never elaborates on this joke. It's terrible.
Ever.
Yeah.
Don't ask. He didn't do it.
He fights with a drill. It doesn't have a name.
Hold on, you're cutting into Noah's weapons section. I can describe Rasen really quickly. Carrie's description is, Pike hasn't found the right name for his weapon yet. Which, alright, so Carrie is one of the lead writers for RWBY, and he can't just come up with a fucking weapon name in the first episode. How lazy is this guy? He was not fucking prepared.
He's not lazy. He's critically thinking and deciding between multiple different things. Does he ever name the weapon, by the way?
He does.
Carrie is not smart enough. He can't even say, Pike assembled this weapon very recently, and he still hasn't decided on a name. It's not like that. It's just, oh no, I just don't have a name for it.
Yeah. It's so lazy.
Wow, really cool.
I thought you were going to say something.
No, it's pain.
The drill is later named Rasen, which I believe is just named on Twitter and never actually described in the show, which is a big thumbs down from me, but a big thumbs up because someone clearly helped him with this name, or he sat down and actually thought about it. Because Rasen's a pretty good name, because it means, obviously, spiral in Japan. I'm sure everyone already knows this, fucking haha Rasen god, spiral. But it also means race in German. So I think that's actually a cool name for the drill-type weapon. Race and spiral is pretty cool. I think Rasen is not the worst weapon, actually. The more I give time to thinking about it, the first time I saw Rasen, I physically recoiled. But because it seems so awful, right?
God.
But Carrie... Oh, go ahead, Liam.
Yeah, but then you look at it. I like it. Because I love chain gun, drill gun thing. It's a cool looking design. Like, it'll span and...
Isn't that a cannon?
It is a cannon, and it has the side gun cannon stuff. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's obvious that... I mean, I think it's easy to say that Carrie's at least somewhat familiar with Gurren Lagann.
Yes, this is clearly where the inspiration
What do you mean?
came from.
What do you mean?
I like how on the Wikipedia they say very likely a reference to it. Like they aren't. Like they're afraid to make a hard claim.
They don't want to get
very likely.
They don't want to get sued.
Carrie literally has statues of the shit in the background. We can assume it's fucking Gurren Lagann.
Oh yeah. Never mind. Keep I want to talk about everybody's gamer setup.
Carrie, in fact, does not have a RWBY statue anywhere back there.
Oh, it's so
I think it's so funny.
No RWBY shit in the background at all, but plenty of Gurren Lagann. Really makes me think. I like later on when Curry puts a D&D First Edition relaunch like red box setup there, like he's ever used it. Anyway, I wanna say though that as much as my initial physical recoil, like Liam said, it does blend itself really well to working together. And Carrie seems really into it in the fact that he continually uses the drill's functionality of drilling things a lot in the series. So you gotta give him props for like actually committing to it and like utilizing it. Like I started to really dig it by the end.
Do you think if it wasn't an arm drill, it'd be cooler?
Yes, absolutely.
Because that's what makes it look dorky.
Yeah, if it was like a pile bunker drill that turned into like a minigun/cannon, I'd like it a lot.
Oh yeah,
he has an arm, right?
Function.
Yeah.
Yes, he has an arm. There's an arm.
If he like lost his arm, then maybe.
Sure. But... yeah, exactly. The arms thing is kind of cringe.
Yeah. So we'll have words on the boy later on.
Pike will be I feel like we'll have a consistent debate over Pike as the series goes on. But yeah, Blake, why don't you handle Phoenix now?
Okay. So, Chris Coconuts, my personal favorite player on the show, is a sound audio guy at Roosterteeth, I believe.
Yeah, he works a lot in their animation department. He's worked on Chibi.
Yes.
What the fuck? He's worked on something called Sex Swing? Chris, you would like to explain yourself?
You can see in the background many examples of this, many recording setup things, many instruments, a helmet.
Oh my fucking god! I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut in, Blake, but Chris has done sound design for MMOs and has worked on Wizard 101 and Pirate 101.
Gotta make that money.
Face.
But Chris Coconuts, who I think is the most consistently enthusiastic player, in terms of like he looks like he's genuinely trying to just have a good time and like get into it and just like go with the flow. Where I feel like Chad kind of loses it, or Laura never has it, and Carrie is
schizophrenic
basically.
An actual spaz.
So I think Chris Coconuts is probably the most consistently fun and the most consistently just like into it. But he does meet the constant struggle of the headmaster, who is interesting, and I want to have a long conversation about our headmaster after this.
I'm happy that you pointed out that Chad or Chris has a lot of headbutting, because that is, I think, him and Chad both suffer this, but I think you're right that Chris probably suffers it the most.
Oh yeah, because I think I think Chad loses his enthusiasm fairly quickly, where I think Chris always tries to have it and always keeps getting. You can see like the moment in many different episodes from what I remember, where it just dies for that recording session. But going over his characters, Phoenix Nemean, who is a lion faunus that went to Shade. He mentions he's half faunus, half human. So this confirms everyone that Helena and Felix, in fact, can have children.
Babes.
Oh no, dude, not here.
It has been addressed before this, and it's later readdressed, I believe, by him on Twitter for saying that's not a real thing. A half faunus does not exist. You are a full faunus if you come out with the animal features. But I will give it this. I suppose that is while not necessarily a genetic, like, racial important detail for, like, how he is as, like, a biological being, it is a good note for as a character to know it's a cross-species
we get what he meant.
I never assumed that was, like, a biological thing of, like, oh, he's kind of weird. More than, like, oh, no, he just has a human parent, but it's just, like, if a human and a faunus breed, if they have animal parts, they're just a faunus.
That is covered...
But it is confirmation that I didn't know of that humans and faunus can just breed.
Liam, go ahead.
Is it still random if it's a human and a faunus?
No, it is no. This is actually covered in that horrific History of Remnant series. That it would be the trait of the faunus. It's just a toss up if they come out faunus or not. It's random.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
It is not like two faunus coming out randomly.
So it is just genetically superior for a faunus to mate with a human, then?
I mean, yeah, you could have a human kid and they could get away with it being scot-free.
Well, yeah, or also, like, you could just not randomly have a weird fish kid if you're just
you were guaranteeing
dogs.
your lineage continues.
Yeah,
You were guaranteeing your son does not suffer from having octopus legs.
And maybe throughout time, you might be able to finally, like, breed the terrible faunus genes out of them.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. There's some restaurants that say don't come in with faunus signs.
And
it's
our
pretty hard
editor
for
is
them.
gonna cut the eugenics talk.
But getting back on Phoenix Nemean and getting off my personal pet project.
My personal feelings.
Pet project. I like pet project because you can take it 2 different ways.
So you're telling me? Oh man, that's fucking awesome.
So
really
Phoenix Nemean went to Shade, and he's a very very like he's a pretty stupid character. Not in terms of like his play, not in terms of like the concept, but in terms of like I think how Chris Kokonos this guy decides to play him is like he's not the smartest guy, but he's not a bad guy either. He's just kind of a lovable idiot that's kind of like more inclined to use his natural strength above like most things, but he never means poorly. He's just like he grew up in Shade. That's what he's used to. He's from Vacuo. He's more of a rough guy, but not a bad guy.
I will say I think Chris plays with Horation pretty well, and I know I know Phoenix has higher charisma, so he does play towards that a bit.
Yeah,
Ben, on free, will you say it with me? 1, 2, free. He's a D&D barbarian.
He is literally a D&D barbarian. Here, honestly, I just had a thought. Isn't it weird that the 2 characters the 2 people that come close to having fun are just playing D&D characters? It's almost like they should have just played D&D or something.
Yeah, a little weird. It's also fucked up that 3 fucking people here went to Shade. I mean, Carrie dropped out, but like, I guess I was just right on the money with picking Shade. Shade seems based. Everyone wants to be from Shade Academy.
I think it's
because Shade is the least,
hasn't been ruined
yet.
Yeah, it literally hasn't been ruined yet.
Even they know!
Yeah.
They read Meyer's book and they're like, I want to go there.
But if you let me go over, I'm not going to cut into your weapon description, but I will introduce his weapon. That is Pandora's Aegis. It is a claw and shield, much like a Captain America shield. It's like kind of round, not too big, but not too small, and it also is a big claw on his hand.
Yeah. So Pandora's Aegis, right off the bat, I have to say, I'm giving a big, good check mark because Mr. Kokonos actually used an influence. He is the Nemean Lion. I'm so fucking proud of him.
I know.
One player got it. That's why we like Chris here, because he's based. He understands how to make a RWBY character. He tried to make his character look colorful. I don't know how much influence these guys have on their art design of their characters, but if Chad and Carrie and Rostra had much influence on theirs, I would say bad work, guys. But I like Nemean's. I like Nemean's color scheme. Pandora's Aegis baffles me. Its name makes no fucking sense to me. Is the idea supposed to be that they could be 2 different things, so that's crazy, like opening Pandora's box?
I wrote down the exact quote. From our headmaster Eddie, Chris has the most complicated weapon because it has 2 functions.
Whoa! Crazy 2 functions.
I don't know what he means.
Fucking RWBY.
Yeah, I heard that and it's like, Eddie.
So I think what he means is mechanically they have different form functions. Because like I said earlier, with the homebrew shit, I think they get abilities based off their weapons also. So I think that's what he might have meant, but I don't know if that is. I will say, I didn't realize this about Pandora's Aegis, because they don't really describe this as much in the future. And this made me like it more. I'm going to give Pandora Aegis like a B if it had a good name, so it's a C+ now. But Pandora's Aegis is actually a pair of claws or shields. Both the claw and shield can become each other. So you can have 2 shields, you can have 2 claws, and that goes really well with how Phoenix fights, acts, and like is portrayed as a character, where he is a guy who... What, Liam? Go ahead.
That's pretty based. I'm sorry, I just had to say.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't really like the weapon design until you just described that. I think that's super cool.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I'd missed that the first time I'd watched that, and I think that's way cooler because like it plays into both functions of his personality. It works really well with his fighting style, and Chris does a well enough job when Eddie isn't taking the wheel of describing how he fights with these weapons, and it goes very well for semblance. I think they're on theme with the influence.
And I'd like to say that's unfortunate because Eddie takes the wheel all the time. I also like to say if you're done describing the weapon, that Eddie's saying that it's complicated because it has two functions. Now it might be what you're talking about, but I also think it's indicative of just modern weapon design in RWBY that is very lazy and summed up by something I wrote down here, which is, as I wrote down, Ironwood's big gun!
Ironwood's big gun, Nerf gun, water gun attachment.
We can't get into this. We'll be here all fucking
We'll be here all day. But the creative love of RWBY's weapon design is gone.
So I wanted to pose another question now that we're done talking about the characters and their introductions, which is what they go forward doing, which is semblances are hidden at the beginning to us, not each other. They already know, but semblances are hidden, cringe or based.
Could have been based, but like they just used them when they needed them, and it's just like it's my turn to use my semblance. So it's just also, like it's not like it's like a cool reveal. Anything.
Did
just
we?
Like,
I
here's a semblance. We'll explain it now that he's using it.
I forgot. Did we do that?
I used my semblance in the fucking trailer.
Yeah, everyone.
We had
semblances in the trailer because we went forward with introductory trailer sessions.
Right,
that was always include. Thank you. I thought it was the correct way to do it, and everyone was in agreement with it because we're playing a RWBY game, so you should do the fun trailer things, and it works as an introduction system session to let the player. We did some test sessions with combat before the game started, but these were there to establish a little bit of lore detail, a little bit of characterization chance in a first combat, just for fun to get into it. And I think that's in spirit. I really wish the team here, Grimm Campaign, soon to be later named a team name we'll get into on that episode, and we're gonna have a big talk about that one. I think. I really think these guys could have benefited from trailers, and that's a great point you brought up, Liam, how they just kind of use them. Really, I think the only one who gets a really good moment for it, I remember, is Chris with Beast Mode. We'll get into that in a bit. Like, it's very boring that they just get used. I think the idea that they hid them only to use them that way is cringe. I don't think there was any greater thought given to it. I thought...
You know what's even worse? Arastra's... She doesn't even say she's going to use it. Someone says, "Oh, she can heal me."
Yes, yes,
exactly. Because someone just said.
I have a very, very infuriating section on Arastra's semblance that I want to talk about. But we're
getting too much into semblances.
I think we're done with the introduction because we can go over the semblances as they're used. Some of them sooner than others. Some of them not at all in this section, in this entire segment, in this podcast we're doing because they don't get used till later.
Yeah, I think the general consensus is the idea of hiding your semblances is only good if you're doing it to a point. If you're just doing it because I don't want to metagame, dude, it's kind of just weird. It doesn't really serve a use. You're just kind of limiting it.
So.
Okay.
We can actually get into the actual session now.
Yeah, let's get into the meat of the session. Hey, you guys like tacos?
Oh, I was gonna say, do you want to just get ready to taco?
Well, we have to get into tacos.
Okay, Liam. What do you think? What do you think of tacos, Liam?
You have the floor.
I fucking love tacos. They're fucking delicious.
Yeah, tacos are delicious.
What a fucking funny joke.
Hey, Ben, toss me a taco.
Here, hey, go long.
I opened my mouth.
So I want to.
Let me roll. Blake, let me roll.
Roll for that.
I have that written down too, which is Kecker cringe.
I rolled a 1.
Kecker cringe rolling for literally everything. Noah, me and you are DMs. I already know what my opinion is. That is cringe.
I'd rather they just kill themselves personally.
That's horrible. It is so fucking annoying to everyone involved. You, the players, the viewers, everyone to ask them to roll all the fucking time, and I know for a goddamn fact Eddie does not have an actual, like, number in mind half the time. Yeah. A DC half the times he asks. It's just like, hey, can I pull something? Well, you and Pike should roll opposing strength checks.
Oh my fucking god, the rope.
It's this.
Let's not talk.
What? Liam, go.
Early on one when they're playing. Yeah. Is the pilot still alive? Roll me a perception check.
Roll me a fucking perception check.
I rolled a 1. He's gone. I don't see him.
Because not only is that fucking ridiculous, but also the question of, is the pilot dead, caught me off guard because I don't know what would have killed him.
He doesn't die.
He's bleeding.
He doesn't die until...
No, the cockpit exploded, or the window shattered.
Yeah, right.
But he doesn't die until...
That should not mortally wound you.
But he does not die until the crash, because he's saying that was really cool on the way down.
I have a whole note about the crash.
But I would like to bring up
Keikos.
Let's roll back.
I would like to pose a question to the field.
Okay.
Ben, you can be the first to give your opinions on this, but there is a trend that Eddie starts right off the bat that will continue on for the entire series. That is, Eddie starting the trend of really unfunny, radical, nothing characters that just don't matter.
Yes.
This is the first one. This pilot is nothing character number 1, Tums.
Tums.
Ben, how do you feel about Eddie just literally doing like, haha, yeah, radical, man? It's just like, just little nothing characters.
Their Uber driver? Are you referring to their Uber driver?
Yeah,
are you referring to their Uber driver?
It's just nothing characters that go on for way too long. Hey, did you know I almost like got sucked off a Crow Redwood?
Let me fucking talk, dude. Okay?
Sorry, I don't want to be a Noah. I'm sorry.
Listen.
Wow, yikes.
I thought it was really fucking funny that they said Uber driver and made all these modern references, dude. It was so fucking funny. Especially when the guy was like, dude, I almost picked up Crow once, dude. I almost picked up Crow. Anyway, dude, here, let me put in the fucking, let me blow in the CD, put it in the thing, and you hear, so you're the hunchman, huh?
Literally strong bad on the fucking radio.
I can't believe they hired a homeless man to record lines.
Crow sounds like half his face is paralyzed. Like he can't talk out of the other half of his face. Crow sounds awful.
They got the voice actor to do it, and he's just like in his bed talking into a fucking iPhone or something for this shit.
It's like 4 a.m. They're like, hey, we need you to record lines.
Everything's really bad in Mistral. That you go there to make empires.
Mistral's kind of cringe. Anyway, I'm gonna give you something important. Anyway, boom.
I listened to that fucking speech twice. I don't know what the fuck they talked about. What was he saying? What was their mission? I don't even know.
It was literally go to Mistral and figure something.
Like go to Mistral and stop crime or something.
No. He says don't stop crime. He says specifically don't piss off the local crime.
Sorry, I was gonna ask on this after you give your point on the mission. What is their like in opinion on their first characterization of Mistral from like the show? This.
Oh my fucking god! I have so much to talk about on that. I'll try to restrain myself a bit, but I want to say I did the same thing Liam did, where I had to listen to this a few times. And I don't think we're stupid, Liam, for having to do this. I genuinely think this is so confusing. Using your brain like a normal person. I think this only makes sense when you're reading it like a quest text, when you're assuming I'm just doing this anyway, lol, this is flavor text. This is like a big thing that I think will become a problem more on, is there are a lot of assumptions in the game where you're just assuming things will get done this way. So there's no real care to explain how things work or why people would accept this. Crow says here, like, 3 different lines that piss me off because you're just throwing them out there and it really doesn't help. It just muddies the water. He says the job board for Huntsman has bugged out and accidentally given you all the same mission. So this mission to go investigate why Mistral is a little spookier than usual was supposed to, assume this, the entire campaign, this entire mission was to be taken by one fucking huntsman. I'm sorry, Crow, are you fucking drunk? What the fuck? Why is Crow giving out a mission also, by the way? Did Crow pay these guys for this?
He's the biggest huntsman.
He's the biggest huntsman.
Is he even famous? Do people know who Crow is?
Crow is
like
referred
outside of the huntsman circles?
Yes, Crow is established in the series beforehand as Dusty Old Crow, a famous huntsman. He is a huntsman icon. Not obviously on the same level of the Grim Reaper necessarily, but he is supposed to be established as a known professional huntsman. Probably because he's one of the only huntsmen who's like competent, as the series shows off that most are just like literally Vulcan's skull.
You don't like Tweedledee and Tweedledum?
No, I don't. I don't like Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Good, they're dead.
I don't like these. Only one of them. I don't like these comedy characters that just ruin the qualification and like prestige that comes with being a huntsman that Winter and Crow set up.
Well, I mean, we have some comical huntsmen of our own in Records of Remnant, but I will get into that.
Yeah. Another line he says is there's Mistrali nobles that are getting upset by this.
The daimyo.
Yeah. Well, no, he doesn't refer to that.
No. This is in reference to, and I'm sorry if you did catch this, but when they're walking, this is basically the end of the second episode.
Yes.
He goes, so some nobles like move to Kuchinasi just to be like near the underworld. That is like literally how he describes it. And it's very strange to what that even fucking means.
There's another thing that's strange. We'll get into it more. And he says like, go investigate, kick rocks, see what crawls out, but don't get involved. Which is immediately the most difficult to decipher. What the fuck do you want from me, Crow?
What is the job?
I have to go start some shit to see what happens, but then not engage with it. So basically, presumably, what the idea of this original mission is: go to Kuchinashi, cause a bit of trouble, see who's causing trouble there that's mad at you for causing trouble, and then run the fuck away and report to me. Lol. This will be forgotten instantly. No one cares about this mission. None of them care about this mission, right? Like, they just instantly are like, we're in a module, let's go.
They literally walk into Kuchinashi being like, hey, can we get to work? And then a roster says the best line ever, we'll quote later.
Can we get to work? No one knows who you're here for. We'll get to that later. I just wanted to go back really quickly. Takos. One thing we didn't say, I just think this is a very illuminating line. Sorry for getting on this again. They say, what would tacos be called in Remnant? And someone goes like, with an extra C, because it's like something dumb. And Carrie goes, yeah, it'd have a dumb name. These guys don't give a fuck about their setting. Their basic assumption is, add detail, it should be a joke. Oh, awesome, guys, thanks.
Why can't it just be tacos?
I have this as a very defined point I picked up through watching. That Eddie keeps calling them tacos and not tacos. Is he subtly calling out the joke as cringe?
I think so. Eddie does have these moments. We'll get into them later.
Eddie does not seem to enjoy other people having fun.
He silently seethes.
Eddie has... I'm so excited, because this happens a lot in Season 2. Especially in related to a certain character who we will meet in Episode 2. That Eddie is so fucking pissed off about. And I can see it behind his ghoulish, gaunt grin. That he is so fucking mad that these guys are acting like complete, like, no-brain players about. But I think we have harped on this long enough. As Ben said, big crash.
The plane crashes because a group of Grimm fly past it, not into it, past it.
Past it.
They're going somewhere never explained.
So I assume these Grimm are the ones that are going towards Kuchinashi in the second episode. But I have a big point there that I'd like to say also that I don't understand what... I'll talk about it later, what Eddie's decisions with Grimm act, like the way they act is confusing me. Presumably he doesn't name too many immediately, but I believe it's mainly just Lancers that are attacking them, which if you need reminder, everyone, they're the big wasps. We've seen them. They're Mistrali, Grimm type mostly, I believe. They're pretty fucking scary. I think Lancers are canonically one of the most dangerous Grimm we've ever seen in the show. They just completely destroy shit. Weirdly. They're basically like the Donkey Kong Hornets, though.
Yeah.
So should we talk about how we're going to pour one out for our boy Tums?
Yeah, Ben, would you like to do
Yeah, I'd love to talk about the guy they just let die. It's really awesome.
I'd like to say...
No, and they pointed out, and this is awesome, like, first session, like, D&D shit, where you go, dude, we totally just let that guy die because of our negligence. Isn't that funny? Fuck this. This is a 5th edition game.
I do have a comparison, and this is actually most apt to you, Ben. I'm sorry, Liam, if you won't understand this as much. I would like to draw a direct comparison and see who you think did better of Tums versus Senator Lemon. Who do you think had more impact?
Like me? Are you talking to me?
Yeah, I'm posing the question to you, but it's open to the field. Because Noah's also obviously promoted.
Senator Lemon, obviously.
Yeah, he won't... Liam won't get Senator... So, I mean, Tums is just a... I mean, Senator Lemon, obviously. That's Lemon does end up literally not mattering, but Tom's literally his whole joke is, "I'm an Uber driver," and dude, Eddie thinks that's so funny, and literally, like, no one else does. It's basically no. Carrie does, of course. Carrie does. Carrie's a fucking spaz.
Tums is like the captain of like Titanic, ready to go down with his ship. There's this weird characterization moment there where he's just like, "Jay, you guys gotta get out of here."
He's ready to die.
He is. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I lost it when he said that line because it's just like, what the fuck? Is this just not like a normal flight for you?
Yeah, like
what the fuck?
Tums takes on this moment of like, you guys get out of here. I'll go down with this ship.
He's always wanted to be a huntsman, and this is.
He always wanted to be a huntsman. He couldn't pass.
This is his act to save the huntsman.
He was suicide. This is his proxy field, the huntsman. And yeah, these guys completely could have had a chance to try and save him, but they let a civilian die in front of them, and it quickly established that no character in this campaign will be impacted by anything that should impact someone. After all, they're all clearly seasoned huntsmen, so one civilian dying is something they can just literally ignored. Awesome. Based sociopath party. I feel like not having any attempt to save someone is not painting you as really cool huntsmen, and then not being like, damn, a civilian died, we couldn't do anything, is really just like jarring to see happen, right?
Yeah, it's just, especially because it's literally the first thing. Like, It is like the first instance we see of these characters doing anything. So it really does, I think, not set the mood right for what a RWBY campaign should be like. Because it's like, yeah, we're playing 5e, we're funny murder hobos, so this is kind of what people do, especially like, for their first like, it's like, oh, wow, we're like role-playing. Where it's like, it can be kind of wacky, not really giving a shit like that. But, like, I, in my personal view, think it does not fit the setting at all when you're, like, classified as a huntsman, trying to just be a good huntsman person, which most of them are, except, I guess Chad, who defined his character as being a bit more roguish. So it's, like, more fair to him, but it's, like, you shouldn't be that willing to just let someone die?
Oh my god, no, exactly. And I was about to say, for a lot of these guys who are fresh out of the academy, it sounds like, Pike especially, you'd expect more of a reaction from this. And I give them some younger role players, not used to it, probably wouldn't realize how good of a chance this is for some fun characterization moment, to have your character act out how they take this. Like, because as long as you're still showing that your character is aware of this happening, even if your reaction is to brush it off. Acknowledging it better is good. And I believe Phoenix acknowledges it a little more by saying, like, he takes a look back, or is that Asher? I can't remember. I know one of them tries for reference.
I believe that's Phoenix.
Right. We just completely forgot this, and so did the players. There's a detail in there that Pike and Arastra know each other from Haven Academy.
Yes, and she's 3 to 4 years older than he is in terms of so she graduated before him, and he joined a year late in terms of he went to Shade first year. So
either she signed up really later in her life, or there's something we're missing there that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's just I'm not reading too much into it because who gives a fuck.
They completely dropped these two knowing each other immediately. They say they know each other, and then the next time it's acknowledged, Pike goes, "Oh yeah, I kind of remember you."
Well, yeah, but it's like Carrie talks to a plank of wood, and the plank of wood doesn't do anything back, so Carrie just doesn't do anything.
You know what? Props to Carrie. He peeled out of that instantly.
Well,
he saw that problem.
It's literally everything. Someone talks to a roster and nothing happens. Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how at the start they literally get no time to interact at all?
Yeah.
They don't introduce themselves to each other until they're on the ground.
Takeo, dude.
I want to talk about this. He makes. Look, I know you two are the DMs around here, but I see this. This is such a funny thing that DMs love to do, where I put you up against overwhelming odds, but I won't make it explicitly clear that you cannot win.
Yes, that's episode 2. That fucking
it kind of starts at episode 1, but it definitely is. It's the beginning of episode 2 where Eddie's like, "God, could you just fucking go to Kuchinashi already?" And they're trying to get there, but Eddie's making them move as fast as 5th edition allows you.
So it just is so awkward. What Liam's point is so important to me. They decide that on this ride over, presumably from a port in Mistral, since you have to imagine the guys from Shade had to come to Mistral or something. I don't know if they're just coming there. It's never established. On this entire, presumably Bullhead or maybe one of those Atlas flying ships, I forget if they have a name. This whole ride over, they never talked to each other. The only, guys, we're all on a huntsman mission apparently together. They all literally sat in corners of the ship while Phoenix is eating tacos, Pike is smiling like a sociopath, Arastra's planking, and Asher's faking being asleep. They never talked to each other. Yeah, thank you. I wouldn't want to be wrong. And Liam, you're right. That is so fucking jarring to me. Not only do they establish that we have no interaction, but he didn't give them time to feel each other out, and figure out how we're gonna roleplay. They had those one little interactions with throwing the tacos, and that was it. Yeah.
It's. I think this is a big failure on Eddie not giving them a little more time to breathe, because trust me, it can be a little bit awkward, and probably especially if you're new to it, because for Records of Remnant, thankfully, all of us had at least some experience playing D&D in some regard, for some long, some short, some but we've played together, and not only that, we have played with each other and talked to each other for a long time. So we were very familiar with the group, and even we had to feel it out, because you have to feel it out for a new character, so not giving them any time to breathe is a really strong failure. And Ben brings up a good point of the unwinnable odds situation that you do, DMs do. And no, I actually want to pose that question to you, and I'll answer it as well, being how do you feel about it as a DM? And then I want to ask Liam and Ben how they feel about it as a player.
This is a good topic. If you want me to start, or do you want to say your own thoughts?
You can go.
Okay, basically, this is going to sound kind of limp, but as a DM, I've kind of taken the opinion from my own experience and observing lots of experience in discussions online on how people talk about DMing and stuff. Because I'm one of those guys that was a nerd and wanted to look into DM guides and things like that, and seeing people discuss on forums or something, or on fucking TG or whatever. And I've come to the conclusion my own self that I believe there's not necessarily bad GMing tactics by default. There's just very easy to fuck up ones. And the idea of these unwinnable encounters is one that I don't even think is that bad. It's just, obviously, if you do it too much, people are going to get sick of it. And you have to be so clear in your delivery, because players really can't read your mind. Blake, go ahead if you want.
I would like to say, Noah is right in that there's no real bad tactics besides what he means that he's not saying, which is puzzles. He believes puzzles are a bad tactic.
You're ambushing me so much.
Yeah, but what I'd also like to add on is that it's completely right. How I don't think anything in a D&D game is off limits really. Because you make people sign consent forms at the start. You get you get the yes and no's.
Make them sign away the rights to their characters.
Yeah. Well,
I got Liam in a fucking
with me.
I got Liam's.
It's all in there, and really it just depends. Because at the end of the day, you're just there to have fun and play a D&D game. So if the DM and the group are having fun, that's all that matters. Nothing else matters between just having a good time and everyone enjoying the fucking game they're sitting down to play.
That's a very simple way to put it. It relies on the group's enjoyment. That's a great way to put it.
And that's literally everything with D&D, and that is the golden rule we have is if it's good, it's good. So it's just make it good. So if you do something and people like it and it's good, then it's good.
Just play your audience, but
but my point specifically on the unwinnable situation bit is I think it should be at least how I interpret it is it should be fairly obvious and fairly telegraphed in terms of how it's set up and how it feels. Because, as Noah said, players can't read your mind, and players will think some stupid things. So it's easier if you just... If it's not confusing. And I think there's a subtle difference between making something very hard and planning for them to lose, but still adding an avenue for them to succeed. And, not just the meme avenue of, how they could, I don't know... not get hit a million times and then slowly win the encounter, being there's a 20% chance they actually can succeed if they're clever instead of a 1%.
Mind if I piggyback off that?
Go
clarify my position. I think the best way, if you want a more constructive view, because I basically said do whatever, man, haha, smoke weed. I'd say if you want a more constructive thing, like Blake was saying, is a good way with as long as your group and you are on the same wavelength, it's good to do these things. And I wanted to be a bit more helpful of my advice. I'd say think about the situation and make sure you feel confident in the purpose of the situation towards what it's bringing, towards what your narrative or just mechanical sense of the game is. If you're just doing it kind of to show off power scaling of things, there are many other avenues that might not be so ball-crushing to the players. But there's times when that is necessary, when you're okay, well, I want it to feel like a moment where they're off-seed by their high horses or something. You should be, if you want to do a situation like this, try and feel that you are confident in the reason it's here and it's the most logical and sound way to handle the scene. If you think of a different way it could go, do it that way. Just be very confident in why you're doing it, and don't over-rely on a thing like this unless that's the oppressive atmosphere you're going for.
Yes, and I'd also like to piggyback on this again by saying I do not think the literal beginning of your game is the time to do an unwinnable encounter.
I see that in a lot of modules and shit.
I really think, I know it, sets the scene as, oh, this is going to be a harsh thing. But I really believe in the fun approach of, you probably want to, get people into it and let them have some fun. So probably not busting their balls right away is a bit, build them up so it's more satisfying to knock them down a peg. Let them have some fun.
You don't Ice Spire peek it where a dragon comes down and dabs on you. Do it like a dragon's coming down and your characters are doing an escort thing where they're we have to hurry these people out of here and have to fight some, I don't know, goblins or something there nearby because the dragon's freaking out. Give them, a situation, maybe they gotta do something while the disaster's happening.
I gotta shit on my game, huh?
Oh,
that wasn't in the book.
I know.
Okay.
The book started in a tavern. I thought that was gay.
Oh my fucking god.
No,
What?
I said fuck it. You'll get attacked by wolves. I rolled the dice to see like, fuck it. If I roll a 20, the dragon will show up. And I rolled a 20 and the dragon showed
William,
up.
I fucking hate you.
The legs devil fruit approach.
That was in the book.
But
in the book, it was
I'd like to now. I'd like now to pose.
Jesus Christ.
I'd like now to pose the question of unwinnable encounters and the feelings of them to Ben and Lim, who are just players. How do you guys feel on unwinnable encounters?
I think they can be fine as long as you just signal that it's a fucking unwinnable encounter. In Eddie's case, it was fucking awful. They put 3 bugs on the bridge, and then 3 showed up behind them, and they're like, "All right, we'll just kill them." And then made 3 more show up behind them, and then they killed them. And he made 3 more show up behind them. Eddie, say in the distance, there's 50 of them coming to kill you, and they'll cross the bridge. Like, if you're gonna railroad them across the bridge, just I don't know.
No, exactly.
It's that, and like, God, like you can kind of tell that they want to fight this because this. I don't want to lean this too early yet, but oh my God, these guys suck. They can't fucking fight like a bunch of lancers.
Yes.
Holy fucking shit.
Let's talk about this.
Let's not forget. The ending of the first episode is they fight one
Beowulf.
Eddie's scaling on single Grimm is insane.
It's insulting.
Go ahead, Liam.
I don't want to say we're jumping ahead, but there's a 20-minute free-falling section.
Yes!
We're just
Thank you!
over.
I was just about to say!
I really don't want to skip that.
We cannot undercut that, and now we, here at Records of Remnant and other associated games such as New Dawn Pirates, indulge ourselves in longer-form games. And that's great. I like long-form shit. The general formatting for the Grimm campaign is they aim around an hour, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. Finales sometimes go into 2 or an hour and a half length. So to commit like a third of your episode to this falling skill check segment is literally insane to me. I don't know what to say. This
first episode, by the way.
First episode. This is... I know in Eddie's head this is an exciting start, but people need to realize a lot of in tabletop games, like it can depend on what you're aiming for, but a lot of the time you don't want to go super exciting right away. You want to build up to it. And like we talked about, they didn't get enough time to talk to each other. And they certainly didn't get enough time to enjoy themselves or like establish things because they're fucking falling for 20 minutes. Holy shit.
Can I also point something out in this falling section that I think is awful? So this plays on the skill check thing, and I think we're all in agreement here. In the general point of you should not make people roll skill checks for things that I think are just things they can do. Skill checks are for, like, above average things. Like, you don't roll a balance check for walking across the room. And these are huntsmen. The meme of you have a plan for falling from, like, RWBY. Like, the first season of RWBY. And these are
second episode.
These are graduated huntsmen. They should not have to roll multiple times to figure out how they're going to fall a, alright distance. Like, Kokonos should just be able to say, Phoenix holds out a shield, Captain America dies down, and just lands.
Yeah, the joke should be they all have landing strategies because they graduated. That should be like a joke. This is like the perfect setup for a nod to the series you've established.
You would think that that's why Eddie has them fall.
Yes. This is such another important thing we have to talk about with skill checks. Ben, would you like to talk about? I know this must bother you as much as it bothers me. Would you like to talk about how Eddie completely undermines skill checks by asking for attribute rolls all the time instead of actual skills?
Yeah, because Eddie, not only do they use Physician, they don't really understand it very well.
Not at all.
Which is kind of weird because 5th edition is not. It's not that hard to understand.
Very intuitive,
really. like, what we mean by this, obviously, is like, instead of asking for athletics, he'll ask for just like a general strength, which is really weird.
Yeah, he
does. You have the skills, fucking use them. I don't understand some of the time. And God, do you remember them ever asking for like a will roll in this fucking show?
No, never.
It's always strength and dex because no fucking shit.
And it really hurts because those skills are there to give characters better specific abilities that allow them to have more fields of expertise and things. So like Asher should have more things for like thievery shit. And Phoenix and like Pike can have their like athletic skill and stuff be higher to give them like more competency with it. And I don't really know necessarily what the DCs are that Eddie's backing, but it feels a lot of the time really fucking unfair. There's a strength contest that Eddie asked for when Phoenix tries to do like a grapple maneuver, and like not letting your player use their athletics in a grapple in 5th edition is cancer, dude. Like, that is fucked up of you to do. He gets away with it by rolling really high, but like, holy shit, the fact that you were cucking them from like skills really hurts in this edition of D&D. It's really bad.
This is also a mechanics thing, but I wrote this down. Mm-hmm. So Phoenix punches a lancer, right?
Well, yeah, I mean,
and he goes, okay, roll damage, and he goes, okay, it's 1d4 plus 4, and I'm like, damn, I know it's a fist weapon, Eddie, but you couldn't have given him longsword stats, really?
Yeah, like
really, Eddie.
We'll get into it a bit more when we're actually into episode 2, but there is a lot of, and Blake touched upon this also with the skill check thing. There is a lot that goes into the meta mechanics of how this game is being played that then transfers because of it being then a part of the story in Eddie's descriptions. To transfer to giving a lot of incompetency towards these guys who end up, of course, because they're playing 5th edition and they're using these level of roles and stuff and not using skills and things, and they have like weird like D&D-esque damage numbers assigned to things. They really come across as incompetent, scraping by like mercenary hired guns rather than trained Grimm killing machines that huntsmen aim to be. And it really goes a long way to make them feel less capable because they are required to meet like expectations that a normal person with like slightly above average abilities like an adventurer in D&D would have, rather than huntsmen who with like aura and the level they're supposed to be at, like the fact that they're basically starting off what appears to be level 1 or 2 is really fucked up if we're getting like too autistic and analyzing the scaling. Like the power level of this is all out the fucking window. 4 huntsmen have to fight 1 Beowulf in the first episode, and like they're getting nervous. And I know that's player nerves, but oh my god, I don't know what to say. I like after the landing. I like after the landing. It's kind of stupid, but Asher holding out the taco for Phoenix to calm him down and giving it back to him. It's like stupid, but it is a characterization moment, and you can really see that Chad is trying to like initiate one of these, and I think Chris does a good job of having this little quick player interaction, especially in a shorter format where there's only an hour. Moments like these go a lot further. And are necessary to establish characterization and relationships. So I give them these 2 props for this. Juxtaposed immediately against Carrie trying to talk to Arastra and then nothing happening is just fucking hilarious to me. So my one compliment went to immediately shitting on Arastra and Carrie. Haha. I think now, can we get into Tailspire a little bit really quick?
Yeah.
The system they're working in, or the system they use to play tabletop together. Quick round table. Tailspire, Keck or Cringe? Liam.
I think it looks cool, but I definitely do not think it fits a fucking RWBY game. It fits a fantasy Forgotten Realms game, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Ben?
I agree with that sentiment. However, there's a couple things I need to say. One.
Yes.
Again, it's like the system, bros. Just play fantasy. Second, I love when Eddie's like, thank God Tailspire could get us some Lancer model. They got some Grimm models in here for us. Yeah, awesome, Eddie. They have gotten you some player models in there. Now eventually they do. Spoilers.
They do.
However,
eventually.
Until that point, everyone is just like an elf mage, a dwarf.
Pike is a fucking dwarf.
Phoenix is a barbarian because fucking course he is. Like I just feel like it almost feels like the RWBY aspect of the fucking game is a burden to them at points. It's fucking awful.
They're going out of their way to use this thing that is not supporting it.
Dude, just play 5th edition.
Blake?
No one will call you stupid.
I think it is cringe in the way that they, specifically Eddie, uses it, because when we looked at the screenshots of Tailspire, it actually looked like there were a lot more assets than Eddie uses. So it's just pure laziness that I think it's cringe.
This is such an important point. I'm glad you brought it up so I can springboard off it. So I agree with the sentiment Blake had, and this is very important to me. I don't think it's as bad as my initial thoughts, because I still think it's a pointless bells and whistle program to give like your game aesthetic lighting and cool like water effects, which to me I try and rely on having some level of description. You can tell from my fucking early maps especially that I did not try hard enough in Roll20 and stuff. And I think this entire system is bad for the game they're playing, since it really feels like it's only there for bells and whistles. And the bells and whistles don't match and don't fit and sound like shit. Like, Tailspire doesn't even have like proper distancing measurements for like stuff. Like, we will see in the game they're like, I can estimate that's within your running range. Like, that is not something you necessarily need. I know people like to run like Theater of the Mind stuff, and that's fine, but like, it really hurts when you have an online system that doesn't even support enabling that to a degree. And like Blake said, it seems to me that I think a lot of the problems I might have is Eddie seems unfamiliar and not willing to commit more effort to the system. Episode 2 we'll talk about because the bridge looks like shit. But I will say,
falling into the void.
I think
we're playing fucking tabletop simulator.
Like fucking well, I need to see my dice roll, dude, so I can pog.
Nathan,
one thing about it is that I think it might have been an earlier version of Tailspire, so I might cut them more slack there if that's the reason. So if going further in the series improves, I might assume it's that. Now, back to my red pill on Tailspire. So Tailspire, I believe currently you can find Tailspire actually on Steam right now. And let me see if I have gotten this right now. So it's still running for $25 currently on Steam. It is still in early access. It is not fully finished. Tailspire, they claim in the episode that they are not being paid to promote Tailspire. However, they did get in contact with them. It is not specified whether Tailspire introduced themselves to them or if they went to Tailspire first and said, hey, if we promote you, will you give us free shit for the show and do some character model work for us? So it's never clear, and I don't know if I'm willing to like harp on this schizo theory that they are actually promoted by them. I think being secretly promoted and saying you're not would be a really dumb decision, and I don't think they're that stupid. But their insistence on using it is very strange to me. And I think Tailspire is very shitty, because not only is it $25, but Tailspire's $25 isn't like for the GM version. There is no cheaper version for a player to buy. A lot of systems like this that are used for D&D will have a player and DMing version, where the DM normally pays more, the players normally pay a lesser fee, or are just able to use the program, but don't have GMing tools. Tailspire requires, even from players, $25 and has no additional supported features for the player end, like character model customization or anything like that. And when brought up many times, there are comments from the developers of Tailspire going, well, we like it actually this way, because then the players are left with these tools and may get inspired after fiddling with them to run their own game, smiley face, which is a complete just scummy tactic of saying, just pay us $25 lol. Very shitty business practice, Tailspire.
We all have many criticisms for the program. We use Roll20, which is a website I'm sure you might be at least familiar with, but you can go look up.
You'll
Shout
become-
out to Adam Coble.
Well, you'll become very familiar with Roll20 over the course of this series.
We use Roll20 for
Religiously.
the Records of Remnant
Too
and
much,
for my
honestly.
One Piece game.
Yeah.
Very familiar with it. Noah and I are pro members, so we pay money to Adam Coble. God bless his name.
Yearly. Praise him.
Yearly, we are both pros. So it's $100 a year.
Literally for image space.
Yes.
I could be making alts for it. I'm just lazy.
It is comical how much space they give you up.
Yeah.
So it's like might as well. There's some other features. If anyone is listening from Roll20, please,
Oh my God.
let me put music folders in music folders and organize it like they're image folders. Please, for the love of God.
Please, God, can you turn double spacing off to not be the default option? I really don't like it as a default option, guys. Come on.
At least give the goddamn option.
Also, let me put images back in character things and let me re-put what side they're on. I can't rearrange them to the right side anymore. It pisses me off.
Yeah, there's Roll20 is special. They've done some weird good things recently, but it's so random.
Oh yeah, props for map copying.
Map copying is one of the best features they've ever added, and A+ for me. That is very nice, and I very much enjoy it.
I think the reason Blake and I both use Roll20 is while Roll20 can be very bare bones, it's also very easy to do whatever you want with it within its limitations of a text field 4x4 or hexagon-based game system. You can upload any images you want. You can do that. It's not overtly reliant on one theme, such as a fantasy sim for D&D.
Yeah.
It's very applicable to being able to just do things. It's intuitive enough, and it's free for people to play in. So there's no hassle getting players.
You can even run it as a DM freely. It's just if you're like me and Noah and use a ton of images, a lot of music.
You're probably going to want to go for the 50 or 100 a year.
Yeah. But the thing is, I ran the One Piece game for at least 20 to 30 sessions.
Oh yeah,
without being a member.
This is my first game with my member status fully done, so I've done it before. It's not impossible. So I still promote Roll20 because it's also one of the most popular ones, and if you're actually looking for it, the LFG section, as much as we're going to mock it over the course of the series, is where I've met, Ben, for instance. It's not like there's nobody there who's good. There's plenty of people in the LFG who aren't crazy schizo, idiots that we're going to cover over the series. And you can find games to play.
Piece of advice for me randomly. Don't pay to play in the game.
Never pay.
Don't pay any of those tons of paid games that pop up. Just if you want to play with people, you can find people on Roll20. It is, you do not have to pay anyone. You can just find a group. It might take a little bit of sussing out to be hey, I don't really like these people, or it doesn't click. But, you will eventually find people to play with and probably have a good enough time. It will just take some commitment. Don't pay. That is so unnecessary. There are tons of games that are not paid that I'm sure you can get into.
Alright, yeah, exactly. I'm with Blake and I are both, as much as we'll complain, we still support it as, a good place to go to.
Yes.
And we should probably get back into the show. But that's our little talking on Tailspire and alternative processes.
Liam, where did we leave off?
Shit, I don't know. They landed and fought a Grimm?
Let's just skip to episode 2. They fight a Beowulf.
Let me go. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Ben. Go ahead.
Literally, what else is there? They fight a Beowulf.
They fight a Beowulf. This is the first introduction of Phoenix playing heads against Eddie, trying to do that grapple check. That basically only goes well because he rolls high, and it starts to show there's this. This is one of the key moments I'd point to that goes, this is why 5th edition's bad. You can't do fun RWBY stuff. It's why I did things like Flare in my game, where you need to be able to have a system that allows for spontaneous fun, because that's what everyone wants to fucking do in RWBY.
So there is, I have 2 points on the first session still that I think are important to point out. Liam, I'd like your opinion first on Phoenix Numian's semblance beast mode we see for the first time in this session.
Oh my god,
which is a rage. Liam, how do you feel about his semblance beast mode?
Just like a barbarian, yeah.
Yeah.
This is not too bad. I don't know if he's like. I think it fits his character, at the very least.
Yeah. Ben, I know you have thoughts.
I'm sorry, thoughts on what?
Beast mode. Phoenix's semblance.
Beast mode. Okay. Although it is literally just Barbarian Rage, I do kind of like it. I do like how he introduces it. I definitely think it's the best semblance introduction, easily.
I agree with that. I agree with both of yours, like, begrudging admiration of it is exactly how I feel. Like, yeah, it's pretty basic. But, I mean, I still like Rage, like, mental state-based semblances. By default, a lot of people can do them kind of cringy. I think Chris does a pretty good job of making it more, like, fun than too, like, broody, which can be, like, tiring if they do it wrong. I like his description of it. I especially like it because as it is simple, as I described with Pandora's Aegis, it goes really well with how he fights. And Chris is very enthusiastic about it, which gives so much weight to even like a basic idea that I find myself enjoying it because the player is so into it, right? Like you feel me on that, right?
Yeah. I think it's fairly simple, but I don't think semblances have to be extremely complicated. I really think it's just there is certain, I think, rules for the semblance that I think Noah's certified that I think are very fair and like acceptable. Like, you're not born with your hat if your hat's part of your semblance. As an example, we might bring up on a later episode when we read Rule 20 things.
Yeah, we're gonna get into semblance critiquing.
Just on beast mode, so we don't spend too much time off topic. I think it's a perfectly acceptable semblance. I think it could be really boring, but Chris does a very good job of basically playing into it and like showing it off enough without making it be too overbearing.
Yeah.
And I think it leads to good moments, like Pike being a little bit afraid, being like, "What's going on?" And
that was cool. I like that.
Or
that moment with Asher,
Asher
calms him down.
Asher giving him the Takeo and him calming down, just like,
which is like silly, but it's cool.
He just like falls down with the Takeo a bit more content. And I think it's nice. I also like how it actually like it has a drawback, which I think is interesting. Of like he hulks out, but then he gets exhausted because he goes beast mode. And I think it is a fitting semblance because I think his character is actually proven to be very mild-mannered and very very easy to talk to and work with, but does have like, flares up at times and doesn't like take shit too far. And I think his semblance is a good reflection of his personality, which is what semblance should be.
Yeah, and I think it's good. I think mechanically, it's really funny to me that it's shittier Rage. The interesting part about this on a mechanical angle for you 5e heads is Chris describes it in the second episode, which we're about to get into after the last points. He describes it as he gains temporary HP per level he actually has. He does not get the half damage reduction that barbarians get from Rage. But he does get reckless attack from his weapons in functionality. So this motherfucker has reckless attack with normal damage where he can't get half from Rage. That is so bad. For those of you not familiar, and his equivalent of reckless attack is also slightly different. Reckless attack is a base feature barbarians have in 5e where you get advantage on your attacks. And enemies also get advantage on you. But in 5e, Rage halves normal weapon damage you receive. So it's very mitigatable, the downside. It works well with each other. It's cohesive. I believe Phoenix's version, though, of this reckless attack thing, it doesn't give him advantage. It gives him an extra attack, which might be his offhand attack. That's what it is. I'm not quite clear on if he's actually getting an offhand bonus attack.
I was reading it earlier. The second attack, I think, crits.
Oh, interesting. Right, because we do have some of their character sheets, don't we? And we can get into that another time, probably more fittingly. But it does seem really shitty to me, mechanically. I do like it though. Overall, it's just a shame that it's kind of here. Okay, I pulled it up here. He has these features in beast mode. He gets a +1 to strength, dex, and con, which is very strange in 5th edition. He gets a climbing speed of 40. He gets 10 feet to his base movement speed. He gets 3 more passive perception. Okay. Level times 5, temp HP, and +1 AC. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Weird.
+1 to stats in 5th edition. What a good call.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah, Eddie's definitely taking a look at passive perception.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there's weird shit. We can get into more of this on a mechanical-focused episode. I think we could save this for, so I won't get too much more into it now. Is there anyone have any more thoughts on episode 1? I have, like, one last thing. Does anyone else have any? Go ahead.
Sorry, I just made the last point. Does anyone else besides me have a point? Besides Noah, too.
I'm done with episode 1, frankly.
Okay. My last point is something Pike says near the end, which is Pike, as quoted. Eddie said, or not Eddie. Fucking God, I forgot his name. Carrie. Carrie says that Pike does not accept money for missions.
Oh fuck! Yeah. Right.
What?
Because he's an anime character, Blake.
Because he's a good guy. He doesn't take any money. How does he live and pay for food? Retarded. I don't know.
How does he eat?
I hate to say the retard word. But,
yeah, I know.
What else could you describe Pike as?
It's
literally a Looney Tunes character.
A broken buck. Literally a broken buck. This is just like... These are throwaway lines that seem funny, and like this is the overall theme they kind of fall into way too often, is they treat this way too comedic for the setting, especially what Eddie's trying to do. And I'm not saying Eddie doesn't treat it too comedically, because he definitely does. And it's very weird hearing lines like that. It's fucking strange. I do have my last little point, unless there's more to go on that.
No, I don't think harping on that too much is is really needed. It's just a throwaway line. Carrie said that's kind of dumb.
Oh, these lines are going to build up from Pike, though. We're going to have a big Pike breakdown at one episode, I know. I do appreciate this last part in the episode where Eddie does some establishment of Kuchinashi from a distance, describing it a bit. But this is where we see the biggest problem of Eddie's new DMing is that he is very nervous and very bad at translating written things he's prepared to delivery in the episode. It sounds very stiff, and he's trying to be very precise because he doesn't want to fuck up his descriptions he put time into, and I appreciate that. It's just a thing to note that you can see Eddie's rest there. But overall, I would say, good work, Eddie. That is nice. I like when you do things like that, and I think these are important things for people to hear and take note of. It can be a little robotic. There's one in the next episode I don't like, but I like the description of, and it's pretty okay. So props to Eddie for at least trying to do this Kuchinashi world building. If you're especially doing it in one location, you do need things like this to really bring it to life, because you want to be able to have multiple angles so your place doesn't just become a blank backdrop eventually. And yeah. I think we're ready to get into episode 2, right, guys?
Yeah, I think I'm done.
I would agree, yes. Episode 2 is so good.
Ben,
real quick.
It's an instant turnaround.
Can we get a cut here? I do.
A few moments later.
So, thank you for putting up with that, normal scheduled SpongeBob break. Ben, would you like to introduce us to episode 2? A bridge gone too far. Action time.
No. The episode is officially titled Action Time. However, whoever makes a fucking thumbnail made a funny "a bridge too far" joke.
Which is better than Action Time.
No,
right?
Okay. I'm gonna say this isn't always true, but generally the thumbnail names are better. Not always.
Generally, yeah. By default, I'd say they're normally superior.
Episode 4 kind of, but the
there's some. You could think of it like this: it's an extreme either way. It's either much better or Oh no!
Oh my god! Yeah, listen,
this.
It's so great. Episode 2 is basically a giant fight scene, and I'm doing air quotes fight scene.
Can I say first? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, you should go.
No. Go ahead. Seriously.
Every episode is supposed to start with a recap by a random player. This will become only Chad's job because he's the only one who cares. And Carrie is, quote, afraid to say a Japanese word.
Yes, I had that written down. No. Remember, Carrie says, he goes, it's Kucha, and then he goes, I don't want to mispronounce it because I'm the one who named the city.
Yeah, Carrie.
He is the person who named the city, and he can't fucking say it.
Carrie named the city probably a lot of shit as background details for RWBY design. He named Kuchinashi. He's afraid to say it because he doesn't know how. Japanese is hard, man. Bruh.
Carrie's never seen an anime.
I don't know how to say shade.
So in my notes, my first note in the first note in the second episode for me is, quote, this is not represented here in Tailspire, smiley face. Because that is something that keeps going on and on. That all they have is like one Grimm model.
They have like one Grimm model.
They have one Grimm model.
They have a very cool bridge.
I know we've already went over this, but Pike, this is, I would say episode 2 is truly the Pike spazzes too much episode.
Yes.
For now.
Yes.
I literally wrote down Pike is trying way too fucking hard. And then I wrote, I believe this is the beginning of Asher hating everything Carrie does.
Yeah, this is easily the beginning of it.
Like, you can tell that he's like, oh no.
So the framing for where we're coming in is Eddie's coming up the bridge called the Kuchinashi approach. I'll get into Eddie describing that later. Cool name, by the way. I like that it has a name. And he describes Kuchinashi and how you enter it pretty well in the end of the last episode. I like that. It's really weird to me that this combat encounter starts with Lancers. And the Lancers' attitude is very strange. And I would say there's perhaps something later in the series that justifies it, but Eddie never details the qualifier that would justify these acting this way. So I am to assume they are normal Grimm. One, very weird that the Lancers are attacking a fucking gate. They can just fly around it, right? Why are the Lancers attacking a gate?
To make way for the bigger ones.
But Land Grimm would be able to attack a gate, and I could buy that. Kuchinashi is described as only accessible through these bridges for security and, just... I believe Eddie says, which I kind of like, you can never end up in Kuchinashi by accident, which I think is a cool way to describe a place. So it's so weird that they're not just flying up. Why are these Grimm intelligently trying to attack a gate? There's a thing later on, like I said, that could justify it, but Eddie doesn't describe them as having that qualification, so that's not fucking happening. Eddie will later describe these, Lancers coming out of the trees and stuff. These Lancers act like they're a fucking character that has hovered 20 feet. Like, they can't actually fly. They can only go off the ground so high. And it's so strange.
Well, I will get into this later I wrote down all the gates' names.
Thanks.
Yes.
But I do have my first
needing to write them down.
Liam, big true fan.
My first bullet point of episode 2 is Pike equal retarded?
Yes. Literally, yeah. Yes.
Is there anyone who hasn't written down something similar at the start of this episode?
That was my second note. My second note was Pike is trying way too hard.
I like when he describes shooting something similar to a firebolt.
Yes, I have that written down.
Yeah, awesome.
He just used a firebolt.
He just uses firebolt. They immediately can't keep up the charade. They're not playing 5th edition.
It's pathetic. It is nothing but pathetic.
Oh,
literally the second episode. It is pathetic.
So this is going to be probably a bit different from the first episode because we're talking about the entire episode is a combat sequence,
except for one thing at the end.
Except for the end, but so we're just going to be talking generally about the combat and what they're doing in the combat. So I'd like to just a roster. I'm not talking about assemblance yet. We can have the discussion in a little bit when everyone chooses to. But every time she's using dust, she just refers to it by the color, not the type. Noah, how do you feel?
Die in Minecraft, Laura. I don't know how to describe my hatred. Why are you not just referring to the element of dust? Not only is it less informative for the viewers and everything and just like lamer sounding because you're just going, I use color dust instead of describing like, I shoot a bolt that arcs with electricity to do it. Dust colors have also been a contentious point. Fucking Eddie, for his own sake, has had to go on Twitter many times to clarify it different ways. Dust color has never been consistent. The ground, nature, and wind and lightning, like quad area, is like a constantly shifting of which color is which. So the fact that she's not able to specify which element just adds to the confusion. And I just fucking hate it. It grinds my fucking gears. It's such a stupid way to refer to things.
Okay. Passing it back to Ben and or Liam, because I know Ben has the most notes, I think, on this episode.
I think I do. I have quite a bit.
So why don't you throw out a topic of discussion, Ben, or any comments?
I have some funny moments here written down. Please. I've already said, okay, Pike is literally he's just a season 1 RWBY character. He's a Looney Tunes character. He's an idiot. I then have a funny moment where Chad literally just says like fuck on camera, but they cut it out and and it's clear that the editor had like, because they did like an important role during this, so like he couldn't, or he or she could not cut it fully out, so he just like mutes his mic basically when he does it. And you can see Chad, he goes, oh fuck, I should have said that. I mean, he doesn't say fuck, but like he's like, I shouldn't be saying that. Oh, and oh God, this is where we get into some real. I need to talk about the editing. And look, I know they cut the chaff, but we need to get into. Dude, the editor is either they had nothing to work with, or they think zooming in on someone while they're talking is really funny. They think it's really funny.
They do it so often, especially this episode.
They do it at least 4 times.
Carrie asks him to do it once.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Like, I get it. You have nothing to show because we're just looking at fucking Tailspire, and you want like something good to come out of this. But the continuation of just doing it just for the pog faces, it's just like, dude, it literally, I think we described this the first time we watched this, that the editor is losing their mind and just wants something to do, so they just zoom in on people because they're dying editing this shit.
Yeah.
And that's how it feels.
This also goes into another one of my notes here, where I do believe Eddie says the quote. No, I'm sorry, not Eddie. It's not Eddie. I think Chad says the quote, man, these models look great.
Yes!
These models look great.
These models look great.
They don't look great.
That might be sarcasm.
Look, I'm sorry if I'm jumping around here, but I would also like to preface that episode 2 is not only the episode that proves that Pike is a spaz, it also starts the arc that goes over season 1 and 2 that Chad really fucking does not like Eddie's DM style at all.
Oh,
you can tell already that Chad is pissed off that he can't do some shit.
Yes.
And honestly, I can't blame him. Because Eddie's being kind of a loser.
There is this sorry, you can go, Blake.
I was gonna say, there's a clear point that you see this, and that this isn't actually with Chad, but this is where Phoenix and Pike are tied together for this, and the players are having a fun time. And on Pike's turn, Phoenix asks, "Can I pull the rope?" One of them asks if they can pull the rope off turn to kind of help the other one dodge an attack because their movement is staggered for whatever reason, even though they're not too far from each other and the rope's not taut.
Yeah.
But ignoring that, and Eddie's like, I love that idea, man. No. But the idea is great. No,
this is your brain on 5th edition,
and it's like, hey man, that's really cool and all, but what the fuck? It's like, yeah, I get it. Oh, you can't you have to be a band about it. You have to step on your players a bit. You have to keep them down. but like, come on, man. What the fuck? They just want to have fun.
Like, it shows the clear, like, uncomfortableness with the system that people are new to it, and, like, in D&D, you always experience this with people. Kind of do that. You have to explain to them, like, no, that's not how the rules work. Like, you can't break the rules. They're here for a reason. And this is showing why 5th edition is kind of painful in RWBY, where, like, you expect this weird, like, kinetic, like, flow of combat to continue, and segmented turns like this can lead to these weird, awkward moments where people do the classic "get on, bro," where they carry another character, like, on their turn to give them more distance.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense in your head if you try and think about it like an actual things are happening, which can be pretty, like, you try to ignore these parts to not break your reality. But in moments like these, it grinds my fucking gears because Eddie does have this aura point system, which they explain a little more here in this episode. We can touch on in a sec. So these should be, like, used for things like this. Like, Eddie is showing that, you know, he's a newer GM here. He should have said something like, okay, I mean, I guess you could spend your reaction and some aura points to do that.
I was going to say, I would... Someone else can give their actual, like, more formed opinion on this, but I'd like to bring up the topic of... This plays into what Eddie will do throughout the entire campaign, but it's... The players tie themselves together because it's like, yeah, it's like a funny thing. Like, oh, we don't want to fall off the bridge.
It's quote-unquote funny.
Yeah, like, they're having a good time with it. So Eddie makes them roll opposing strength checks whenever they move.
Because Eddie is not having a good time.
Ben, Liam, do one of you want to elaborate on the general feelings of that?
What the fuck?
So retarded. It's not hot. They're not far enough away.
In opposite directions? What the fuck?
They're not far enough away for it to be taught.
It's 50 feet. They talk about how it's 50 feet. And then someone goes, haha, yeah, Pike's holding the rest. And Eddie's like, yup. Wait, what?
Oh my god. It's
I would say I might blame Carrie for being like, haha, lol, this is funny. I'm going to make it fuck us over. And not speaking up more and being like, Eddie, fuck off, dude. Like, it is so strange to me because it's clear that Eddie is getting, like, annoyed. He's like, I had this serious encounter where they're supposed to be running up the bridge, clearing them and trying to get inside, and they're just fucking around with ropes. And he's pissed, but he doesn't know how to get this described. He doesn't want to take a second to be like, guys, come on, chill. He didn't cut that part out and go to the episode. So he's just going to be a fucking H-box about it. He's just going to be a dickhead.
How dare you, dude?
So he's just going to be obstinate.
Watch out so you don't become a hack, Teddy.
Yeah, so this brings us to the point where it's like this DM and player both being poor at communicating and leading to bad results, which will be brought up later in the episode in a much worse way. Liam, what was your point? You were saying
Eddie is just... It is very obvious that he gets upset when things don't go exactly as he's planned them.
Yes.
Which is just
Thank you,
not what you want as a DM.
Well, let me tell you something.
Allow me to... I'm sorry, Blake, but this is so pressing. You might be bringing up the same point that Liam is keying in on you. Because I would like to take back to let me go back to a episode of I Have Notes, a podcast that is now canceled on Roosterteeth, but there is an episode where Eddie and Carrie were both on, talking and hyping up about the Grimm Campaign. And I took notes on this a long time ago, just for fun, because we do shit like this just for fun with each other. One of the quotes Eddie says on this podcast, this is where I learned he was first time DMing and stuff. Eddie, quote, says, the hardest part of DMing is when players throw a wrench in things. And then quickly starts going, but I don't want to railroad people. So Eddie is literally the stereotypical bad beginner DM who is at the same time saying he hates that the players have freedom to drive the story, but he also doesn't want to force them to go down a path to help them along the way. He is taking the worst of both problems of D&D, which is you, the GM, affecting things, and the players affecting things, and he takes both of the bad ways to do it.
Alright, let me elaborate on this point, because I know we're in agreement on this.
Yeah.
So, let me just say something is, the One Piece game that I'm running, the New Dawn Pirates, that was like my first serious D&D game I ran. I've run some 5e stuff in the past, but like, this is the first one I really put everything into and really tried. And let me say something that I think is very, very good advice as a GM, is players won't just follow your path because they can't read your fucking mind. They don't know what you're trying to do. You have to make it fairly obvious, because you have to plan out what they're gonna do is like the fun thing to do. Like, there shouldn't be like a big disconnect between what they want to do and what you plan for them to do. Because the group should be on like the same fucking page. And if they do something like you don't really anticipate, well, it's not very hard to still get them down the path. It's like, you put them on a road, they're gonna get to the end of the road. They just might do some silly shit in between. But like, it shouldn't be that fucking hard.
Yeah, we kind of talked about this earlier, where it really comes down to the DM and the player being on the same wavelength, which eliminates the concept of railroading. A lot of people get this aversion to the idea of the GM heavily guiding players from bad experiences and hearing about bad experience. And a lot of people praise the idea of open world, like it's inherently better. But if you're actually playing D&D, you know that like in a quote-unquote open world game can just be really shitty. Ben, can you describe the effect of what a true open world game looks like, as you so famously claimed?
A shit show?
Yeah, what was it? What is a player in an open world game only motivation?
Money.
Plate
mail. I want plate mail. The 1AC will save me one day. I fucking know it. I literally...
Rip up the floorboards!
Divination.
Money!
I want to kill everyone.
Why would I not kill this person? They have money. Give me plate mail. Give me plate mail.
Money.
Where it's like, no. Railroading is a good and actually wanted thing by most players, because it shouldn't feel like they're being forced down a track. It should be like, wow, they want to follow like the story beats because this is fun and interesting, and they want to engage with it.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but not everybody would like that. But
no, not everyone wants that. This is what... Oh, sorry, Ben, go ahead.
I would say that, yeah, I mean, I think, God, we talked about this so long ago. It's like, yeah, you can meme on the DM who literally will, like, the second you even do something unexpected, he's like, get back on the path! Like, as I so famously used to say was, being railroaded! Let me do what I want! Like, it's almost laughable, but, like, yeah, people like to play in different ways. It's fine if you want to do a sandbox game. I know you guys don't believe it, but I do believe a sandbox game can work. It's just incredibly difficult.
100%. It's just the amount of effort it takes is a lot more, and you need everyone to be on the same wavelength of like, well, we want to be able to pick up and do shit.
As it goes back to what I said earlier and no one reinforced, really, if it's good, it's good. It's just like, as long as the group's having fun, that's all that matters. Everything else is like superfluous. Yeah. There are no hard and fast rules. It's just like whatever the group likes.
You try and do it the best way that meshes and makes things feel natural. You try and support what players want while not compromising what you want to do. And you encourage the use of creativity in things by trying to fit like ways things players want to do in an overall structure that benefits how your game's going. I set out a game where I have planned arcs characters will go through, and I have downtime segments and things. And then if players come up with ideas such as breaking into prison, I'm not going to just say no. I'm going to be like, all right, let me work this into how I can set up this story, and I can take advantage of this to go the way I want to already that I think they're going to like. Because you should be going into this plan with the railroad, quote-unquote, being something that you think is cool and you think they'll think is cool. If you have a story, you don't have to necessarily drag them kicking and screaming. You just have to make sure you think it's cool and they like it, and you're going to make things kind of eventually let them go off on side roads that lead back to the main idea of a cohesive game. Liam?
Yeah, what he said.
Sorry, you unmuted. I thought you had a point.
Oh no, I was just burping.
Fuck yeah, dude. And we are talking about this so much because we are seeing a new DM have a fucking panic attack as he is trying to figure out how to be a rules guy and a narrative guy, and how his encounter he's running is not going the way he thought, and he's losing his fucking mind behind. You can look into his eyes and see the panic build as Eddie is watching them, and he's going, "Oh no, 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 my fucking branch encounter!" Ah!
Yeah, and it's, I think, something most GMs go through. Like, I went through it too, where it's just like trying to adapt to the group and figure out like kind of what the style is. But I think after, no, this is like cutting ahead to the entire series, but I don't think Eddie ever really adapts well to it. And I don't think I think the frustration never really goes away from people like Chad and Coconos. Yeah. Eddie is, Carrie is kind of special, and Laura isn't actually there. It's just an illusion.
Carrie's here to have a good time at anyone's expense.
Yes, and Laura's only there in like hearsay.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's enough talk on that if we want to get back into the actual... I mean, like, as I said, the actual session, there's not really much of a structure because it's just a big combat thing, so...
I still have notes, though, for the combat.
Yeah, no.
Liam, you got anything?
I'm not saying move off the combat thing. I mean, just get back into just going over the points people wrote down.
Yeah, Liam, you got anything?
Yeah, Liam, you got them.
Man, I wish I took notes. I'll do that for the next ones.
Yo! Outed as a notelet. A fucking notelet.
I gotta remember. Did what's his name use his semblance yet?
No, but we could cover it.
Who?
I assume you mean Asher.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. I have a big point for
I don't think he used the semblance, though, right?
No, he does. He does. He does. And I want to talk about Asher's
He gets
semblance.
really mad because he gets cucked out.
I really want to talk about a roster semblance, so we can do that.
Oh my god, I have so many things to these, yeah.
I want to...
Do you have anything to talk on before we get into another big topic? Any more fun blurbs? I know you got some of those.
Yeah, let me think. We already talked about how you can tell when he gets... Oh, you get stung in the ass, dude. He's like... Eddie, literally fuck off.
Oh, we haven't really talked about Eddie's descriptions, have we?
No.
We haven't.
No,
we
it's
haven't.
Bad.
We haven't committed.
We don't know. We don't need to go into it. It's bad.
Yeah.
They're
Eddie, they're bad.
Yes.
They're bad, and Eddie is a vicious DM who, if you don't provide a description immediately, and even sometimes if you do, he'll jump on it to tell you how you're doing something. This is very dangerous. I know he's trying to make the game he's trying to impress people by doing descriptions for attacks. But taking the player's initiative and telling them what they do, not only when you're just doing a success or failure, but just in any general way, can be very obnoxious to players. Like, I do not like you describing my character's getting stung in the ass as like a funny joke. That can be really you can fuck with your players, but it's generally not good to start off the mood by by just comedically embarrassing a player or telling them even the degree of you kind of zip down, shoot him, fucking do a quick dive to the side and wipe off your brow. It's like, bruh, I mean, I guess I do, man. You fucking telling me. It's so weird how much of a driver he is for player action sometimes. It's hard not for me to notice.
It's very strange.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Yeah.
Do we want to get into the gate shit, or do you want to get into the other thing?
Let's talk about the gates. They're pretty funny.
Okay, I want to talk about the gates. So Carrie at one point, I don't know, I don't remember why this starts.
Fuck off, Liam.
Okay, very cool.
We'll talk
about Listen. So Carrie goes, haha. Hey, zoom in on me. Okay, RWBY Wiki guys they're gonna write down the name of this gate, because he's basically making fun of you retarded RWBY fans, which is so bad.
Carrie is literally being an antagonist. haha, wiki people, am I right? If you're gonna write something down, write this down.
No. Remember, he specifically says, like, well, everything we do here is, like, he doesn't say soft confirm, but he says, like, something along those lines.
Yeah, this is...
Well, everything we do here will be, like, you know...
canon.
Kind of like canon to the show or whatever, and it's like...
Oh,
so,
no.
yeah, like, and he's making fun of you retarded RWBY fans, and yes, you, listening.
He really is.
No, he is making fun of people who like his world that he makes.
There is this like
And it's not
passive antagonism there towards invested fans of a series, and
well, he knows there are none left.
Like me, I am here. Unfortunately,
we all still watch RWBY for some reason.
No,
I am depressingly invested in Ben trying to save his street cred.
We're not Richard. We actually watch RWBY still.
I don't know what to say besides we'll probably touch on this a lot over the series, and maybe one day if we go to RWBY itself and do our commentary over the series.
If another season comes out.
Hey, everybody, stop watching RWBY so I can go down to $1 so Noah can buy it, please. Basically begging you at this point.
I really liked RWBY, and it only got worse the longer it went. And it wasn't perfect at the start, I'll say. And I really hate how apathetic and weirdly like belligerent it feels like the idea people behind the series can be about it. That is how I will say that. It is very funny to me that Carrie seems so ready to just shit on them right here.
Okay, so back to the gate thing. So yeah, the first gate, they name it
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates.
Very funny, by the way. Round of applause,
Gates, everybody.
Now I rolled my eyes at that one, but Alexander the Gate got a chuckle out of me.
I will say Alexander the Gate is the best one.
Yeah, I mean, it's at least a bit clever. There are three.
There are three. The third one is obviously the most cringe.
Yeah.
It's just gate number 3.
I would have gone with Eddie asked Carrie the name, and Carrie says, it's gate number 3.
I like
it's gate number 3.
I like Patrick Gateman. That's pretty good.
Patrick Gateman would have been nice.
Yeah.
Unfortunately... the gates names Bill Gates, Alexander the Gate, and Gate 3. Gate 3 probably. Hey, viewers at home, who did that joke? Who did the fucking funny Gate 3 joke? Is it literally the guy on cocaine? Allegedly.
In Minecraft.
Allegedly, nothing is confirmed. Make your own conclusions with the information.
Carrie does cocaine in Minecraft.
I will say, Carrie does mine at night. He's a fucking psychopath. He's off the rails. I don't want to.
Carrie gets on such a weird energy for this fucking show. Where it's this, like, energetic and also kind of, like, bitchy energy.
What is that? What if that's his him day to day?
Psychotic. I don't know how anyone works with him. No wonder Miles wanted to work freelance and not officially. Holy shit! I would kill myself if I had to work with Carrie every day in Minecraft. It's a shame that the gate joke doesn't last as long as the Takeo joke because it's equally as hilarious. Haha.
Oh yeah. And I think that's all I have for the gate. However, when we talk about a certain character, the sheriff coming up, please allow me to speak on him. I have extensive notes about their encounter with Alabaster because I find it very telling for the rest of the show.
I'm so glad because I have the same experience. I'll let you go with it because that is so insightful.
I need to talk about Alabaster. Alabaster.
Okay. Well, hold on.
Watching it back. Okay.
Let's not get into it yet. Okay. But I'm so glad you have the same insight. I think it's time. I feel like we've almost tried to avoid it. That we talk about two of the other player semblances. And I know Pikes will be the one we want to avoid the most. Shall we start with Arastra or Asher? I would like to talk on Asher's personally. Does anyone want to talk on Arastra's?
I really want to talk on Arastra's. But okay. I don't need to do it just yet. You can go over Asher's first.
Oh, baby. So, Asher's semblance is called Flash. It's so hard for me to be anything but dismissive of this semblance. So Asher's semblance is this thing where he like focuses, right? And he emits a bright light that like can blind people and specifically damages Grimm. It's described as like radiant damage. It only hurts Grimm. Asher's semblance is he can also make his hands glow. Awesome, dude. Asher's semblance it's just fucking Silver Eyes. It's just what Silver Eyes are shown as a show was a semblance. That's so fucking stupid. It's so fucking dumb.
You're not born with your silver eyes.
Why doesn't he just have silver eyes? Is that too cool for a fucking one of Eddie's fuck toys? The fucking team. We'll get into them later. The joke characters, are they not allowed to have silver eyes? Would be too OP. To figure out that maybe I just don't let him have such a strong semblance then? Would it matter for him to have silver eyes? Because it doesn't fucking matter in the show half the time. Why is it just silver eye power? If it was just a flash, that'd be one thing, but literally does damage to Grimm. It's literally just silver eyes. What the fuck? Who okayed this? Chad, did you just want silver eyes and Eddie said no and you're just like, fine, I'm just going to make my semblance silver eyes. Fuck you, Eddie. Like, is that literally the conversation that happened? I fucking hate this semblance so fucking much. Yeah. Say your jokes. I've heard them all before.
Yeah, man, that was really spurgy of you. What the fuck was that?
I mean,
I'll add to the intro.
As someone that has a character with silver eyes, it is pretty cringe that, like...
Silver eyes, what?
What?
Well,
I didn't okay that.
I thought those were comics.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. It's pretty cringe that Clara has them.
Yeah,
it's pretty cringe that she has Asher's power.
Yeah. I don't think my silver eyes will be that strong.
I would go on a rant to just criticize Silver Eyes, but I don't want to waste an hour.
Please
continue. I'm sorry.
Don't worry. The next season, I'm sure we'll elaborate on them further, Kappa.
But yeah. His semblance is cringe.
It's dog shit. What the fuck? I can't get over it.
Bad.
I will never in the history of this fucking show's runtime get over it.
Okay, but Noah, can we talk about what does... And I'm sure you'll have some gay answer for this, but...
Awesome.
What do you think that has to do with his personality? Why is he like a light bulb?
I don't fucking know.
Honestly, nothing he ever does really fits this, frankly.
Is this supposed to be because underneath it all, Asher's a good guy? Is that the idea?
Why does it hurt people? Or Grimm?
Well, it doesn't hurt people. It hurts Grimm because he banishes bad things. Like a semblance idea that only hurts Grimm would imply you have like a good personality because Grimm are negativity. It's supposed to be you're like a good person. Like accurately, I'd assess if you had a semblance that only like damages Grimm somehow. I would say it's supposed to be indicative that you are a person who has some personality trait that is very positive within you. It is the idea that Asher is supposed to be a light in the darkness, and he's like a rogue, but he's actually good on the inside? Is it like the end of Kingdom Hearts 1, where a bright light casts a thick darkness, and it's like Asher's actually good, he just has a rough upbringing in life up until now, and he's going to shine brighter as time goes on, and his semblance gets better? Is like that the idea? Like, yeah, maybe, but there's... Like, compare this to Phoenix as we went on. Like, Phoenix, it's so easy to understand his weapon, his semblance, his attitude towards it, and they all fit together really well. This is like, I guess because it's a flashbang, and he likes to be a rogue and surprise people. It just doesn't make sense. Maybe it's supposed to be a contradictory nature of Asher as a person. I don't know. Blake, go ahead.
If we want to talk about not making sense, we can get into a roster.
Please do.
Please.
Okay.
Rostra's is pretty bad, yeah.
I fucking hate Rostra. Specifically.
Okay, what about her semblance?
I fucking hate Trump.
Shut the fuck up! I don't want to talk about iCarly.
Oh, it's my John Chase!
Hey, you just dated this fucking podcast, dude.
Yeah, what the fuck, dude? Anyway,
I think the date it comes out dates it.
Go ahead, Blake.
But
okay.
I fucking so a Rostra Sky, you know Miss Sky herself. Ripping off someone's Sora, maybe? I don't know. I do have a a point in here that
I can't believe Sora means 4, which means death in Japan.
I do have a point in here that says Phoenix equal Felix. Are we ripping them off?
Fuck you! What does that even mean?
All you do is change a few letters and you get Phoenix, dude.
That's Hey, I have a reason I named him Felix. He doesn't have a reason he named him Phoenix. 100% know he doesn't.
Yeah,
it sounds like Phoenix, which is another Greek.
Yeah, you named him Prince to get a color name.
I guess. No. Oh yeah.
He named him Prince.
Listen.
Anyway,
yes, but her semblance, equilibrium. So
yeah,
she uses this as some green dust to specifically heal the aura of Chagget. I mean, Chad.
I mean, what's the difference?
Two iconic figures in the role-playing world, yes.
yes. As basically what she does is, so as is described, she can split dust. But what's actually described by, and this is what I feel it does, because you're not born with dust, is... Well, you are, but splitting hairs it's described as sort of splitting the atoms of the dust. So you get the aura, like, power of the dust, like the power out of it, and then the actual, like, energy, like wind, if it's wind dust, and whatever, like that.
I believe it is, like, energy of the aura and then elemental attribute of the dust. So the idea is she's proposing her semblance allows her to separate the power source and the effect. Right?
So she uses this to heal Asher's aura, and then she gets a negative effect depending on dust type. And as Eddie does for the green dust she uses, she moves back 10 feet.
Negative!
Now, he said damage.
No, it knocks her prone too. It also knocks her prone.
No, she was prone for a different reason. That's not in what this effect lists.
What?
Yes.
And
that is awful.
I fully believe from the way Eddie
it's prone. Okay.
From the way Eddie describes this, I personally feel like he came up with that on the fucking spot, the negative downside.
Yeah. It really feels that
way. It feels so weird, like he takes a second to fucking think about it.
Why does the semblance need a downside?
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna point.
Yeah.
Why does it even have a fucking downside?
This is something you say, like, well, if I had to get really good with it, because, like, otherwise it could fuck me up if, like, I do it wrong. Like, okay, sure.
So this is the amazing thing. I hope I'm not cutting you off, but this is the amazing thing about roster semblance. So, like, I hate and like parts of a roster semblance. Theoretically, with an understanding of RWBY lore, there is a justification, obviously, for why aura and dust have a commonality. People are born of dust, people die to dust, technically. I don't know if RWBY has officially canonized that yet. But mankind came from dust originally is the proposed idea, unless they've given up on that idea. I've run with it. So there's this concept there that I think is interesting. The drawback effect of it is there because the semblance is crazy. So healing semblances, I agree, should have some qualification for how they work. I wouldn't necessarily say you need to have like a drawback like, oh, my fucking hands are on fire! But of course, it will be, like maybe 6 or 4 episodes from now, where Arastra's drawback becomes not a drawback and becomes an effect. This semblance pisses me off so much. Wind dust knocking her back is already an arguable benefit. There's a cost to it.
Green dust, you mean?
Green? Shut the fuck up. Green dust would be plant dust. That's not true. But Eddie has answered that on Twitter also. Did they ever change it? No. Allow me to tell you all what the effects of each dust type do, okay? Because I have them here. Would you all like to know?
Yes.
Sure. All right.
I already know.
Red dust. Take 2 fire damage and become weak to fire for 2 turns. D&D weakness means double damage, if I haven't forgotten that, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you take 2 fire damage and then you're weak to it for 2 turns. Okay. Blue, movement speed is reduced by half for 2 turns. Okay. Yellow, paralyze yourself for 1 turn.
That's really
horrible.
bad.
Yeah, really bad. Option select into orange. Suffer 1d4 damage.
Mm-hmm.
Purple, disadvantage on attacks for the next 2 turns.
Oh, that's crippling.
And then green, knock back 10 feet and prone. Okay, so immediately there's a couple in there that are much less.
Why does this semblance have downsides?
Well, because, and this is, I'm going to give you guys a little spoiler. Eventually, Arastra develops a way to turn this into an upside, and this becomes the craziest semblance ever.
What do you mean?
We're going to get into that in a future episode.
Sorry. What does the dice type change in the positive effects?
What do you mean? What happens to make this positive?
Why would she just not choose the one with the lowest downside then? What is the difference?
Yeah, why wouldn't she just always do orange, which is d4 damage? That's not bad. This heals someone for a d6 plus wisdom mod.
Uh-huh.
So, that's what it does. It's also costs 2 AP.
Wait, so is there any reason to just not take orange?
No, there's no reason.
Wait, then why does it fucking matter? You always take the one that doesn't do anything.
Yeah, orange and orange and green are obviously the ones, and sometimes blue are the ones that don't matter at all.
Why would you...
Why would you paralyze yourself?
Why would you ever paralyze yourself?
That's so stupid. You would never pick the bad ones.
Paralyzed in 5th edition is crippling. Not only can you not do anything, but things that hit you crit you.
Do you have to
Also, they don't have to roll it. They just automatically hit.
Yes!
Eddie, do you have to go to the fucking store and they're out of fucking good dust, so we have to buy the shit dust?
A roster by default has 2 uses. I don't know when these refresh. I presume... Actually, I don't know why I would presume long rest. In her windlass, she can shoot 3 different dust variants. I know I said we get into mechanical layer, but she does have an attack that modifies her attack to paralyze things for 1 turn and do an additional d6 lightning damage. Arastra's busted. I'm just going to say it. Arastra's crazy. None of these guys have good stats, and we'll get into this in the mechanical topic one day. Hilariously shitty stats. But Arastra's shit is overpowered as fuck. I don't know how else to say it. Compared to someone like Pike. Roster semblance. Cringe, though. Don't like it because not only... we kind of talked about how Asher's makes no fucking sense. Arastra just has this because I was a minor. There's nothing in her that's, interested in dust types and, talks about, I like dust or this, or I'm researching this, or, a passion for the understanding of the world. Arastra has nothing that justifies this interest and development of a semblance that should be thematically cohesive, right?
But then it's Arastra has nothing at all.
Exactly!
So it's you couldn't relate any semblance to Arastra.
Yeah, so to get such a crazy semblance... with no justification is so boring. It's so cringe, bros.
It's literally just it's just because there's no expectation of justification. It's just it's a nice happenstance that Kokonos actually went the extra mile, thought about his character's name, his color scheme, his semblance.
Look, Nemian is simple, but he works.
He plays it.
And honestly, he's just playing a simple character, and he seems like he's having fun.
Yeah, and simple played well is good.
There's nothing wrong with that.
There's literally nothing wrong with that. It's based, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Plank of wood keeps going.
Any more details on this combat section?
No.
God,
no.
I have one more. In this combat section, Pike canonically says, during it, they were on the bridge, and Asher runs off to go try and blind these Grimm and damage them with his semblance. Eddie fucks him over. He gets mad a little bit. During this, everyone else is basically on the other side, and Pike canonically says to Phoenix, "Let's just leave him to die. Come on, let's go."
Well, this is one of the first showings of schizophrenic Pike Wright.
psychotic Pike.
Yes.
Wasn't
Oh my god.
Pike Wright pitched as like a good boy?
He's a shonen protagonist.
Pike Wright is established as watches this world anime, wants to be a shonen protagonist, doesn't take money for his jobs. Immediately, second episode, there are even hints of it in the first one. Carrie cannot handle this. He has to be funny, chaotic man. Let's just leave him low. Canonic, Chris accurately doesn't respond, or his response is cut off by the editor, as the editor is probably trying to be like, Jesus Christ, Gary, please stop. It is said, canonically, it's not like a joke Carrie says, but they just don't really talk about it, because I think everyone's trying to ignore Carrie's crazy shit. Eddie basically tells them at one point, okay, you're all going inside, combat's over. Like, it is not graceful, but I don't blame him, because this has been a fucking mess of a combat. Without getting too into it, like, we touched details, it was just very fucking, like...
I have a comment now, I just remembered.
Okay.
They constantly bitch that there's too many enemies, and
oh my god, yeah,
they like constantly bitch.
Eddie's like, 2 more come out, and they're like, oh, why doesn't the army just come out? These guys are pussies. Holy shit! Do you know how annoying it's a GM when someone's like, oh, this encounter, oh my god, like, yeah, just stop on my balls, man. Like, it's not a good encounter, but
really a giant robot.
Yeah, that's the reaction I want. Eddie is spawning 2 enemies, and they're acting like he's just caused another hour of combat to start. Which, who knows how long this actually was without editing? Oh god.
Honestly. Right. Yeah, is that all combat? I think it is.
Yeah, so they're dragged, kicking, and screaming for the gates as Eddie describes them getting like tossed, people yelling at them to help and then yelling at them to get in. Schizophrenic guard descriptions that Eddie probably had planned to be said
please let me talk
mid-combat,
about Alabaster,
and they are dumped in front of Sheriff Alabaster. Ben, have the floor.
Let me pull my notes in Alabaster. This is one of my favorite moments of this shit.
Oh, okay. Easily.
So, they go in front of Sheriff Alabaster, who is the sheriff. However, and upon rewatching this, I realized something.
Yeah.
He describes himself as, I'm the sheriff, but basically not really. However, in the next sentence, he goes, I will take you all in. Because he describes himself as, okay, well, what I do, right? This is what I do. This is what I do. I make sure, like, I can't do anything against the crime families, but I can make sure, like, chaos isn't spelled in the streets, right? Like, okay, sure, you're, like, kind of an unofficial sheriff, sure. So then he's like, okay, you fucking 4 people, I'll just take you in. Okay. Eddie, who are the people with him? Eddie, where is he gonna take them? He's not a real sheriff.
They said,
like,
that Alabaster said the last sheriff was murdered by the crime families.
Yes.
So I am sheriff. Not only... So Eddie is setting up him to be a hard ass, but also schizophrenically contradicting him every other sentence.
But here, this is what goes on even better.
Please.
And he gets really mad at them. He's like, "You guys brought the Grimm here," but then later on he goes, "Well, we've been getting attacked by Grimm lately anyway," and it's like,
yes,
Alabaster.
It seems like Fallout, like Bethesda disconnected dialogue.
Literally,
where they're saying they're out of dialogue audio, and then you walk up to them and they say, "Yes, hello, Alabaster."
Oblivion to your NPC.
Yeah, I would like to also, does anyone remember that Alabaster has the motherfucking gunblade?
Yeah,
yes, he has a gunblade.
He has a gunblade. He just has the gunblade.
He has a gunblade.
Eddie wanted this guy to be a hard, cool badass.
No, Alabaster is Alabaster is like, I don't know, name one of Blake's gay OCs. Like, it's just...
Zaren?
Alabaster just there, and I'll take that.
Alabaster is so bad, dude.
Thanks.
I don't know what to say on what Eddie's thought process must have been in these few moments.
Oh, I love that he... I also love that Alabaster, they're basically, he's like, you brought the fucking Grimm here, and then, oh, that's contradictory, but then they go, dude, shut up, and he goes, okay, I'll let you in. Like, he instantly backs. He, like, instantly...
Dude, shut up. Alright.
He instantly backs down.
Alabaster
But even
kneels!
Even though they are bitchy and mean to him at every opportunity, except for Pike. Pike doesn't really do anything to him. But
Pike,
here's
no, Pike, you're underselling it.
Pike worships him.
No, you're underselling it. Not only does Pike not do anything, Pike goes up to him and acts like friendly, like, oh, this guy's really cool. Yes, sir. And Alabaster goes, bit of a bootlicker, aren't you? He is antagonistic to the only friendly member
This brings up, I think, one of my favorite points about Eddie in terms of how he plays NPCs, which is, like, not only are they schizophrenic, but, like, they're all fucking, like, mean, or, like, quote-unquote realistic, where it's like, hey, we're, like, looking for things to do. Huh, what the fuck do you think? I'm some kind of video game character?
Anyway, go down to the video game lodge to get your quest.
Listen. I would like to point out, this is also one of my favorite
How does Link carry all that stuff?
Is when the plank of wood, Plank from Ed, Edd and Eddy, decides to speak up. And Arastra, like, weirdly is like, oh, get fucked. Like, you're an idiot, Alabaster.
No. Here is what she says.
I wrote down the quote.
He goes, well, he looks at Arastra. I believe Eddie described him like, you look like the one in charge or something. He goes, like, what are you doing here? And Arastra goes, is there somebody more informed we could talk to?
And I wrote this down as Arastra Autism Part 1. Which is literally, she does, now, I'm not trying to say anything, but she literally does the stereotypical Karen shit of walk and ask to see the manager, because he's like, well...
They killed the last one.
It's this, like, can we talk to someone more informed? It's like, are you... And Kokonos makes the funniest fucking face.
Like, Carrie goes, oh, but Chad or Carrie goes like, oh, like, everyone else reacts like, what the fuck, besides Eddie, who's in pain. Kokonos makes the best reaction where he's like he is caught off guard. Either maybe just because Laura's talking for once, but...
he goes wide-eyed, and is like, everyone's surprised, because, like, that was such a fucking weird thing to say, and, like, so antagonistic.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because Eddie's just, like, panicking or genuinely caught off guard, but Alabaster basically ignores that and starts kowtowing, like, and says basically, yeah, well, I don't know shit. You're right. So if you want to know things, you can go here. He just goes, yeah, you're right. I don't know shit.
And it's literally just like Eddie being like, I don't want to fucking do this. And it's
Liam.
Can we also mention at the end where Carrie's like to Alabaster, "Don't make fun of my friends" or some shit like that.
Oh, that's Phoenix. Yeah. That's
and
Phoenix.
Then he's just like, was it Phoenix?
Yeah,
it was Phoenix. He goes, huh, you should be careful. Learn to be nicer to my friends. And what does Alabaster do, Liam? Please.
As they walk away, he's like, as he trails away, he's like, okay.
Yeah, he has Alabaster weirdly described as they're walking away. You hear a quiet, like, yeah, okay. like Alabaster shit his pants seeing these guys, apparently.
It's so weird.
It's so weird. Eddie's introduction as his hard ass is immediately kneeling and going between, like, antagonistic players being like, fuck this. This NPC sucks. And Eddie being like, okay, I'll be nicer. Alabaster's attitude towards them, and this is kind of described in the intro, which we haven't ever talked about because it's really cringe. The descriptions are quoted endlessly this day. Mistral's where you go to build empires, bros.
Yes.
Alabaster acts like this, where he talks about, like, there's plenty of huntsmen who come in and do shady shit here and stuff. Like, Eddie has established that in Mistral, at least, just in the greater world, not only are there a shit ton enough huntsmen, but they're basically just not actually huntsmen. They're just treated like mercenary adventurers who come in and fuck around and maybe do crime here. So, for some reason, huntsmen are treated like shit in this world, which makes no fucking sense without a justification. But the justification is there's just huntsmen who come to do crime.
Well,
Eddie desperately needs to understand he should have a class of people that are just hired guns who don't go to academies and get training, but are competent in fighting and are the shitty guys. And huntsmen should probably not often be so bad that they get this reputation. Because huntsmen, ostensibly, are supposed to go to a school for 4 years, get trained, get a license, and fulfill certain jobs. Now, once they have the license, they are basically free to do whatever, fucking apparently. But still, it's so absurd to me that huntsmen are treated like such shit. But then I look at our party and what Eddie has allowed trains huntsmen to look like, and I go, you know what? Fair enough. These are just sociopaths with guns. It's so depressing.
Only one of them has a gun.
Based.
That upsets me.
It's so tilted. You're right, Liam.
Like,
Holy shit.
It's just so fucking weird and annoying. It's like, Mr. Where you go to build empires. Crime all the time?
It's so...
Wouldn't crime track more Grimm?
Also...
Yes, Liam! Yes, Liam! Yes!
Also, like...
Yes, you're right, Liam!
No, I don't read into it too much, because all of these fucking people will be dead.
No one cares!
Everyone will be dead in 3 years.
No one establishing this gives a fuck. Yeah, every hunter will be dead for years.
Yeah,
no one gives a fuck. Eddie, it does not give a fuck about what he's establishing. He's so wildly incompetent as an autistic man who has tried to take RWBY's initial feeling and thematics and reapply it and try and reintroduce things into the world to justify things and play with it and have fun with this world rather than begrudgingly working with the world. I hate that they just make it like a normal D&D fantasy world where they, for once in a while, go, oh shit, Grimm exists. Like, this is so fucking stupid. Huntsmen being shitty adventurers is so fucking lame. It's so boring. Why does RWBY want to be a huntsman? She just wants to be a fucking PMC member who goes to Saudi Arabia and kills the natives for money. That's what RWBY aspires to be. Our hero.
Grimm are effectively kobolds.
Come on! They're just like banging. We're banging on the door. I fucking hate Grimm. You brought the Grimm here. What does that even mean? What does you brought the Grimm here even mean?
Eddie,
we need to go back to this.
No, literally,
instantly.
Eddie regrets saying this because he instantly has Alabama go, well, we've been getting attacked for a while. It's like, well, which is it? Did they bring them here?
And this whole encounter with Alabaster, please continue if you have more points, Ben, but I want to say...
I don't think so.
I want to say this whole encounter... No, but you can chime in a sec. I want to say, I alluded to this earlier, where this is the encapsulation of poor handling of this topic of players' freedom versus DM direction. In NPC interactions are very important. If you've watched my game, if you watch Blake's, you know that we here really value them. Me, I run a game where New Dawn Pirates has this too, where there's downtime sessions, primarily talking to NPCs. We really like getting into it. I really have always been a big fan of like having a cast of characters around the player characters for them to get invested in. As a DM, not only is it my own flavor like that I really feel as a DM it gives you a lot more to play with, because a lot of people have that balancing act of trying to figure out like how do I fucking like deal with players and how do I punish them sometimes, or how do I have things matter to them, and having characters they like around can be really useful for having them get invested in things suddenly. Because if there's a character they like that's in trouble or something's happening with them, players will jump to the occasion to that. It's a very fun time. So NPC interactions, I'm very harsh on in other games because I see people not put as much like value in them sometimes. And Alabaster here, Sheriff Alabaster, is the typical situation of a new GM trying to have a character that's gruff and antagonistic, but they like and want the players to like. But the players, who are either new or just neurotic, see a character who are slightly gruff or mean to them and go, oh, fuck this guy, we should just kill him. He's a Skyrim character who's mean to me. I'm gonna fucking pick him up, I'm gonna cast a spell, 1,000 fucking water guns are gonna fall on him, I'm gonna drag his body into town, throw him in the water and shit on him and piss, shit! It's like... A slight bit of antagonism makes them all go, yeah, fuck you, buddy. And Eddie panics because these players have instantly decided their lizard brains are shut off and they hate this character and they don't want to talk to him because he was kind of mean to them. And Eddie doesn't know what to do because he didn't realize that you can't hand off this kind of character to new players because they are so focused on just their own establishment that a character that's like rough with them or like slightly antagonistic or presents problems to them is instantly the same level as the Grimm they were just fighting because it's just a problem to them. There's no middle ground. They don't like Sheriff Alabaster begrudgingly or out of character, but like their character going against them. No, Laura fucking hates Sheriff Alabaster because he's being mean to her. Carrie hates Sheriff Alabaster because he's mean to him instantly. Chad is just like, I kind of getting it, maybe. He's like, whatever. Kokonos is like, you hurt my friends. I gotta fucking ape up for this. Like, I gotta go beast mode and tell you not to fuck with my friends. They are instantly antagonistic and is psychotically disappointing.
There really should have just been downsides to being antagonistic towards the town guard guy who let them into the city.
Yes.
Like, being told to fuck off and leave.
Yeah, like, not being pointed to the skillful, maybe. Immediately. Not him turning into a quest giver, trying to help them. He should have been like, fuck you guys. Like, go help on the wall more. Like, if you're here to help, you can figure it out. I have a town to defend. Like, you've been assholes to me. Like, like, maybe he doesn't have to be the pettiest guy, but it's so fucking painful to watch. Because you see Eddie turn this character that he wanted to be this cool, tough guy who would be a begrudging ally to them eventually, turn into this limp, like, loser. Because he just doesn't want his psychotic players to never talk to this NPC ever on their own whim. And unfortunately, it's way too late, Eddie.
Yeah, like, once the lizard brains decide something, it's kind of over.
It's just over.
They're not gonna change their opinion no matter how much he kowtows.
Yeah, and all kowtowing does is make Sheriff Alabaster's encounter comedic gold, as Ben described, this bizarre flip-flopping between, like, ball washing and, like, antagonism that he performs to the players. It's just pisses me off.
He fell into the classic trapping of, okay, this is like our characters getting to know each other, and somebody's being mean to all of us, so let's rally around each other to be mean to this guy.
Yeah.
It's classic.
It's classic. We have to protect our own. We are against the world. It's like...
Yes, which is based, and I love their sandbox game.
Tribalism. Fuck yeah.
I love tribalism.
Players should go into
Post
town.
your political leanings in the comments.
Players should go into town, punch everyone that's mean to them, kill them, and steal their things because it's justifiable. Libertarian paradise, brothers. Stand your fucking ground.
I put a quarter into my win list.
I put a quarter into my win list. Yeah.
Totino's sponsored RWBY campaign.
So, after the Alabaster discussion, is there any more points we want to have on Alabaster?
I think that this will become a recurring problem Eddie has with almost every NPC he has.
Yes!
Of him never picking up that the players are lizard brains, and that he just, like, flip-flops on every NPC and does not consistently want to stick to anything, and that really none of the NPCs hold much significance or weight, even if the story tries to give it to them.
Besides one.
Because the players are fucking awful at talking to NPCs.
How dare you?
And Eddie is not good either, so it really doesn't work.
Yeah, Eddie really... I don't think he's necessarily... Okay, well, I mean, he wrote RWBY. He's kind of a bad writer.
Well,
but I don't... I don't think he's doing a terrible world-building attempt. I don't like what he's done, but he's at least putting an effort, but he's terrible at getting in character.
But, Eddie's descriptions are dry as fucking... Oh, God, I don't even have, like, a funny thing to say. He's so fucking painful. But, but as I was also going to say, it just leads back to what you already see watching, like, the earlier sections of these episodes, how Eddie seems to react to, like, players going a bit off track with what he kind of probably thinks is going to happen. Same thing happens with every NPC, and, like, you can script conversations way less than you could even script what he's already fucking up. So it's like, yeah, they're gonna say something Eddie doesn't expect every time, and Eddie's not gonna handle it well. And it's just gonna devolve more and more as people are talked to. The only people they can talk to well are, like, fucking children. Because Pike Wright has the best... The boy has the best conversations with them that we will get into on later podcasts.
We'll be getting into Taupe soon enough. I can't wait. But yeah, Alabasta, very funny, but also kind of sad. Eddie combos into them walking through town and apparently picking up on basically every location in town in this long description. I don't think this description is bad in of itself. These details are all interesting, and I'd like to know them. All being presented at once, all randomly, and all read off in his Google Doc reading voice is very painful and does more harm than good. And I feel bad for him because I like that he's putting an effort in thinking of all this shit. You should describe it a bit and allow players to poke around and get more into it, and maybe just write this shit down and then have people talk about it in a more natural way. So instead of getting into the details of, like, where the nobles are living and things like that, maybe perhaps this NPC in the next section we'll be getting in next episode, like Opal talks about it and talks about it more naturally and brings it up in conversation rather than a long description like this. This sounds more like something you'd write as a detail you would know and then you'd incorporate in some other description.
Eddie is awful at like, I don't think I'm the gold standard for character voices. I think Noah does a lot better job at it. Thanks, but like, Eddie does not even fucking try. He just has this monotone reading voice. He does, like, he's just giving you a fucking list when he's talking as any NPC. So no wonder the characters have lizard brains and can't fucking interact with them. The characters they're talking to are, like, nothing. They don't fucking emote.
The only voice Eddie can do is Dude Bro. That is significant enough. Tom has one of the most significantly different voices in the whole series. Eddie is probably afraid of doing voices that sound too silly, but he really needs to focus on inflection and stuff, because just like kind of the way players talk, like, you don't have to do a silly voice for everyone. You don't have to get like that drastic, but you should think of the way people speak and try and incorporate certain words or mannerisms they talk, describe how they're looking, and try and make your inflection sound a little different towards them. It doesn't have to be a lot, but just enough to be noticeable. Like, you don't have to give them a fucking stupid Hagios voice, but you need them to come across as they talk a different way.
All I'm saying, Felix, is you don't gotta get pretty mean about it. You just have to do something.
Yeah, like, Blake's Clara voice is pretty distinct, but even if you took away the fucking accent, Clara still uses enough mannerisms and weird words that, like, I would identify it, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, Felix talks different than Ben does, but Ben's not doing a fucking voice. He's just speaking slower. Liam just pitched his voice up a bit to talk as Gwen. Like, you don't have to do a lot, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't get too into it.
Richard, well,
he talks slow.
He talks slow.
And has a little more inflection with, like, hick vernacular and stuff.
Yeah.
And Viridian, I mean, I'll say Viridian's a pretty good case of he uses a lot of different terms, and he tries to talk in a roundabout way that can be stumbly, but it's very clear that Viridian's talking. Like, yeah, like, just think of little ways to differentiate your character from how you talk, and you're good. Like, if Eddie just kept his little bit of a gruff inflection and talked a bit shorter and snappier and would say tips his hat once in a while, Sheriff Alabaster's fine. I can recognize him. He does this for a few characters later on, but really the trap Eddie falls into is he only really does voices, like, tries to do voice inflection work for joke characters or sillier characters. And that's really, I think, the trap of the whole campaign is Eddie really gets bogged down trying to be funny sometimes.
And take it from us, you can't, I don't think it's good to force comedy, and I know if the two of you out there that might watch the One Piece game might be surprised by me saying that, but it really does have to just be kind of natural, where it's like, you can plan for a section to be kind of funny, but you can't, like, get too autistic about it. You have to be just, like, comedy, you just have to ride the flow and just be open to whatever. Like, you can kind of think of what will happen, but it really just... It's gonna come across as stilted, and that's what all of Eddie's jokes do. It's just like, oh man, I'm just such a dude, bro, you know? I just... shade metal music, and it's just like...
Oh, God, he says vacuum. Hey, guys, don't say vacuum. I know the idea is to say vacuum because it's vacuous, supposed to be vacuous, like an empty place. So you naturally would go phonetically like vacuum. But vacuum sounds like shit. Varation sounds more like a desert language, like would go towards. It's why you say Varation. Vacuum is embarrassing. I hate that it's canon. I hate that I was on the losing side of that. I'm never not going to say Varation. I'm sorry. I know I'm breaking canon. It's only going to happen more. But Varation sounds so much fucking better. Vacuum sounds like you got a fucking mouthful of mothballs. And yeah, as Blake was saying, Eddie just... bad, feels uncomfortable with the jokes. I think it's mainly because he feels uncomfortable. He wanted probably more of a serious tone with some jokes, like RWBY is ostensibly supposed to have, and he just cannot wrangle the players to keep towards the tone he wants.
Yeah, I think he's honestly probably just embarrassed about doing voices, and that's...
fair, first-time GM, I guess.
That's fair. I also really struggled with that, especially at the start of my game, until I stopped giving a fuck as much. Like, thankfully, by the time the RWBY game started up, I just went for, whatever I wanted with Clara. But it's like at the beginning of the One Piece game, I really was a lot more hesitant about it, but I still kind of tried. That's why I'm not super good at voices, I think, but that's why I always try to focus a lot on, speech patterns and mannerisms. And, Ben, I would like your take on what Noah just said about, kind of the dichotomy of RWBY and being serious and funny. How do you feel this kind of equates to the Looney Tunes shit from the first 3 seasons of RWBY and that we see here?
I think Pike ruins... I listen, maybe you won't agree with me, but I think that the three actual characters we have could be okay. I like Phoenix a lot. I think Asher...
has his moments.
Asher has his moments and could be good if he didn't literally get cucked every session where Eddie makes him do a funny handstand. Carrie ruins everything he touches, frankly. Yeah. And he ruins this here. His character's a spaz, and look, he seems like he's having fun, but I mean,
at the expense of others.
At the expense of my fucking wallet, because I'm paying for this shit.
We're paying for this.
See, that's the thing.
It always comes back to.
Dude, that really fucks me up. Before we talked about doing this, I was like, well, surely these episodes have been released now, right? Surely they are still not on premium. That was like a 1 week thing, kind of like how
released early. Yeah, nope. Only the first episode available. And I know that'll probably limit some of our audience for these episodes, but we're passionate enough to want to cover these because...
No. Incorrect. We are saving people money.
Yeah,
you can just listen to us talk about it.
We'll try to do our best to keep you up with what's happening.
Oh my god, season 2 dragged so far.
The purpose, basically, I'd say, is, above all else, for this series of Safari episodes on the Grimm Campaign, we have a little more to cover in the episode, but I want to get this out now that we're kind of coming down to the wind down, is that, obviously, there's other series on YouTube of RWBY games. I've scanned a couple, and I don't know if I'd ever want to do this Safari dive on any of them necessarily, because we're just one of the there's one I might want to do, but we're one of the many who do it. I wouldn't say there's a shit ton of us, but I know we have other peers who do the same thing or have done the same thing. Plenty of people have run a RWBY game and put up. There's probably 10 to 20 by now. And I really like RWBY as a setting for D&D, and I really encourage that. But this is the professional, not professional, but this is the creators of the series. I mean, we have 2 lead writers. Eddie's a lead writer now, very painful. We have the head producer. We have an audio mixer for animation, or audio man for animation. We have a voice actor and guy. Sorry, Chad, if you do more. I've forgotten at the time for RWBY animation. These are the guys at the ground floor of RWBY trying to run a RWBY game. And as someone who was invested in this before this, who had planned to do this game for a long time before I even started it, seeing them do it and have such a shitty time at it, it really motivates me to want to do this a series on them, and I know it motivates the rest of you, and that's why we're harping on these sorts of things. And the paid thing is just what we always come back to.
It's like it's paid for, and that's just like it's so bad and low quality. Like trust, like go check it out if you want. But like trust us in the sense that it's not very good.
Yeah. First episode's free. You can see what we're talking about.
And I think we're giving you a pretty good summation of kind of what goes on. But also, I'd like to go back to the point of like Noah talking about other series on YouTube. We're not like a fucking authority. We're just making funny comments about something we watched and paid for. And the reason we wouldn't probably do this on other like D&D series you just find on YouTube is because those are also people like us that are just having a good time and putting up things they're having fun with their friends are just for other people to watch. To some regard, so it's like there's no reason to get critical about things. Like if they're having fun, that's really all that matters, right? Like with this, it's like these are the authorities on RWBY doing something that they are charging people money for. So that gives us more. It gives us more grounds to feel justified in being very critical.
Yeah, it makes it easier to feel that way. It makes sense why you'd want to like cover this, and it's more interesting because overall this game has some very funny bad stuff in it. But overall, I'd say it's a middling thing that's somewhat entertaining, but can be very boring even sometimes to cover. Well, so I wouldn't say a game of this caliber would deserve such an autistic dive we're going to give it outside of this factor. That's why until we find like things on YouTube or anything, if there's games out there that are just so funny, maybe we'd cover them. But there aren't really that many that are, if they're like not my favorite or not as good as I think like I would want. There's not like comedically bad.
Yeah, it's like they might be kind of funny, but like they're probably just kind of people having a pretty good time, like enjoying themselves in whatever way they do.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. If you put it publicly, I have the right to mock it, but it's just the motivation to mock it. Yeah, it's not there.
Yeah, it's like how much can you really get out of that? And it's like the difference is with this, it's like it's pretty middling, but since these people are in the positions they are, it's so much more interesting to think about. Being like Carrie being schizophrenic as Pike Wright is so much more interesting in like how he approaches the setting, because he is such a large hand in the setting itself, in establishing the actual setting of RWBY.
Yeah.
Any comments, Ben and Liam?
No, I mean honestly, pretty good. I just don't pay money. Don't pay money for this.
Yeah, that'd be our review, I think. Liam?
Yeah, it's just a bit disheartening to see how little effort has gone into it.
With a show like Critical Role being so popular, you'd think like they'd want to try and pump it up a little bit, try and maybe get like way more focused on this.
Look, I'm not a big critter, dude, but they put more effort into their ad reads than they put effort into this campaign. People who made RWBY put into this campaign.
Yeah, it's just disheartening to see once again the ambivalence of the creators towards their own product.
Yeah.
Even in an alternate form.
I mean, they just don't give a shit.
And like, it makes sense if you look at the last couple seasons of actual RWBY that they'd be like this. But it's just kind of disappointing to see again and again, because at least with the show you can try and copium, being like, oh, they're just dumb. But like, with this, it's like, God, they just don't give a fuck. But we still, before we sign off, have a last part of the episode once they get into Cyberpunk Kyoto Kuchinashi.
And boy, I'm sure if you are aware of it, you are waiting for our little bit at the end of this, because we'll have a lot more to say on it next time, but oh boy, the Skillful. What a fucking concept. The Skillful is a inn/tavern area. Yeah, that's introduced this episode.
Oh, wait, yeah. When are we going to get into my favorite ending line ever that we quoted for weeks?
Very soon, don't worry. This is pretty segmented part.
Noah, no, and I also like to get Liam's takes on this, as we must be me, Noah ranting. How do you feel about the still alive Borba Duskhead that's up there for aesthetics?
Oh.
Liam, how do you feel about Grimm pieces just running around? You as a common RWBY lore head, how do you feel? Aesthetically pleasing?
No. What the fuck is wrong with them?
Eddie even fucking says that it's not how Grimm typically should be preserved. He calls it out and then does it anyway with a fucking weak justification. It's like, are we being too lore stickly, or is like? But then he calls himself out, so it's like, what the fuck, Eddie? You can't just be like, yeah, I know.
Do you guys think? Sorry, Liam, go ahead.
Grimm fucking explode when they die.
Yeah, and so
how are you gonna justify this?
Well, Eddie's saying it's still alive looking, right?
Well, that's fucking
so
terrifying.
It might be yeah, right. One, that's bad advertisement. That scared people. Two, fuck advertisement. We're talking about the fucking skillful. We'll get into that in a second. This detail is so weird to me because obviously the answer could be, well, it's just a very realistic thing. But Eddie does do this weird hallucination where it's like, it looks like your eyes kind of follow you. It's not like Grimm eyes or like people eyes or stuffed animal eyes. They have like dilations in the irises and stuff with like the line, not full irises, but they have like the circular thing. So you'd be able to tell if they were. But also it's more so the fact that he goes into this weird allusion to it, but never says it's actually stuff. And I almost feel like Eddie just in the moment realizes that this can't happen and fucking loses his mind and just goes vague posting about it.
Why doesn't he just make it like a mechanical Grimm head?
It'd be funnier, a stuffed replica of one. They canonically said is in the classroom because they showed that off at one point in Peter Port's fucking class, and they're like, "Oh fuck, those are just replicas."
Yeah, why didn't they just make a replica Grimm? That is fine.
I've taken steps in my own establishment to say that bone parts of the Grimm don't melt because I think that's kind of cool to have remnants of Grimm, and I thought it'd be cool for the setting to have people be able to here's a big one I killed, give me money for it. But in actual RWBY, they all just melt. So this whole thing is just it's basically Eddie taking the idea of describing a very live-looking replica of a Grimm head and making it very confusing and aggravating to hear about. So basically, Eddie's entire career with RWBY and anything he touches, he just makes it aggravating and confusing why it would happen.
So, would we Ben, to get into the skillful?
Yeah, Ben, what is the requirement of the skillful? What is the special thing about the skillful?
What is the special thing about the skillful? Well, there's many things, friend.
Yeah.
Well, one, you have to have a certain. There's two things that I would say personally.
Yeah.
You have to have a certain fetish, and two, you have to answer my riddles 3.
Well, no, you're forgetting, Ben. You need a huntsman license.
Oh yes, you also need a huntsman's license.
How is this place fucking open?
Because there are huntsmen everywhere. They all come by Kushinashi.
Because huntsmen are adventurers. Fuck you, Noah.
It's
Fuck
the
you.
adventurers
I fucking hate Eddie.
Walk in there E-class, come out S-class because you're a protagonist.
The skillful is okay. Imagine Liam looking at you and saying, "All right, do you guys want to go to the Adventurers Guild?" That is literally what the skillful is.
No, we just went to the mayor and passed pennies under his door for 3 hours.
So the most confusing thing about the skillful to me, after this description, which is baffling, because yes, it is just saying, haha, D&D Adventurers Tavern, but still doesn't make sense in lore. How many fucking huntsmen can you have to keep this place operational? I have a justification you could do, but it's still lame.
They only send one guy to do jobs, so I mean...
Here's what happens. They then say the skillful is the place where the real decisions get made in Kuchinashi, which, after... we have watched the full series up till now. Yes. Does not make fucking sense.
That makes no sense.
Does Opal let gang bosses in without license to be quest givers? It's kind of implied from how Alabaster references in what he's saying now that you go to the skillful to hear what's going on in town and to do shit. But you would need to all be huntsmen for it. Now there is this other weird line at one point in this, I forget which one of these episodes it is, where Eddie describes that either people with huntsman licenses or people who killed and took a huntsman's license. So there is a phenomenon on Remnant where people have someone else's license, show it, and they go, yeah, I guess you're a huntsman. we have seen what Huntsman licenses look like at RWBY. They have your identification on it. How does that happen? It's not a hunter's license from a Hunter x Hunter where it's not anything. It's just a fucking credit card. Where, like, yeah, it's nondescript. Any huntsman has the same card. It's fucking identified to you. It'd be like showing someone else's driver's license and the cop going, yeah, I guess you can drive this car. It doesn't make any sense to me. So, yeah, the skillful's retarded. You need to be a huntsman to get in. And as Ben said, entering on the skillful as I have go into paralactic shock, assuming this is Eddie's fetish, as we were described, a large, giant faunus woman appears.
A buck.
And her name is Buck, by the way. Yes, that's not a joke, Blake.
She's a deer.
She's a deer. She has her antlers shaved off. Her
Which,
name
by
is
the
Buck.
way, I'm very offended that you would say that Phoenix is like the Felix counterpart when there's literally a deer faunus.
Yeah, no, she's the Viridian counterpart because she's big and talks difficultly.
I see.
She is obviously supposed to be a sphinx, which is weird that she's a deer. She goes, "Can you answer my riddles to enter the bar?" I will point out that Asher makes a little attempt to be like, "I've been here before, do I have to?" And she goes, "Nah, that's what the appeal of this place is," to everyone's confusion. And who would like to say the line that, as Eddie uses this as like a stinger? I'm sure if you've watched Records of Remnant, you know that I do like to force my stingers in when possible. I cannot think of a lamer stinger than a bouncer of club appears and asks you for riddle. That is a terrible stinger.
It's a pretty bad stinger, especially because he goes, "Okay, will you answer my riddle? All right, so we're gonna head off there."
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, I was gonna try and think of this riddle. Okay, I want to hear the riddle." Who wants honor?
I love that they all fan like, "No, let us keep playing.
I would, if I was doing that, which is kind of lame, so I wouldn't. I would tell them the riddle first, so I'd give them time to think on it.
Right? It seems really rude.
Because then they could come up with like a clever kind of answer, at least
like a character-motivated answer that might be wrong, but they're still saying something.
Yeah, like that at least gives them some time. Because I'd say throwing a riddle at someone and literally telling them to sit there for an hour and solve it is kind of cringe. So it's like it's probably better to give them it. Like I can see the benefits of ending on that if you tell them the riddle first and give them time. But there's also a funny line at the end that I'll let...
Oh, I just want to say, also, just throwing it in there one more time, this is retarded. I just need to say it, this is so dumb. I hate this detail, that there's this bouncer asking for riddles. I hate everything about the skillful. I can't wait. I hate it. It gets worse next week, bros.
Okay,
don't worry.
Ben, would you like to tell us what the final line of episode 2 is?
The final... Isn't that the final line?
No,
yes,
no,
it is.
No. The line that comes after that, the comment by a certain player.
You were alluding to, man. Oh my god. Ben had a schizo moment. Oh, no,
I literally...
Ben, what does the roster say after she shows
Oh god, I didn't want to touch the 10-foot pole.
Do you want Liam to say it?
Well, Laura makes a roster's sexuality known, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, very strange that she says, quick note, I want to fuck this character.
I want to fuck that buck. Arastra is very attracted to this beefy buck cake.
And, that's fine.
And the episode fades out.
That was fine.
Trust me. Have you guys watched the One Piece game? Trust us, we know about lesbians.
Listen,
however,
big fan. I'm not complaining that she's saying this. I'm saying it is so strange of an end card, and the way she says it is so like, I just need to get this one in before the show wraps up. Like, I don't know what the fucking race for this was.
I'd like to establish that Claire is attracted to Rosalind.
No, don't do the voice. It's not in character voice. I'd like to establish that.
do it as Blake.
Yeah, do it as Blake.
I'd like to establish that Clara is attracted to Rosalind.
Yeah. I'd like to establish that Lee is
awful.
very attracted to this tan Ivy girl. And that's like the end of episode 2 of New Empire. It's like, what the fuck?
That did happen.
That didn't happen. Fuck, bros. We have to review our own show
What
now.
that happened?
Oh, God.
Our roster wants to fuck, bros. That's the end. Does this ever come back again? No, I don't really think a roster talks to this character
Does
much ever.
Buck
again.
even
No.
show up again? I mean, she
Buck's
shows up in 3.
no, Buck's like mentioned a few more times, I think, after the next episode, but not. Once again, NPCs that will go with the players not wanting to talk to them. because
And
they
he
might
got
be
scared.
I would also- I also-
fuck him.
I also think so. As we're winding down, we're almost to the part where I think we'll fade out and give our final closing statements
I want to fuck Blake
on the first episode of Supernova Safari. I would like to explain our relationship with this series in particular, not Supernova Safari, with the Grimm Campaign. So we have watched both seasons before together. It will enjoying it and laughing. So
Liam hasn't seen some of them.
Liam has missed a couple episodes because of just us watching them alone.
I have made sure
I
Ben
watched
and Blake.
it out, man. I was
Me and Ben have watched them with Noah, all of them. I have a vague idea at best at what goes on in the show.
These two guys didn't pay
as
attention.
I get dizzy and fade out and like just crash as we watch it a lot of the times, and just like barely pay attention almost every time we watched it. So I barely know what goes on throughout the entire series, and I think Ben has a slightly better idea, but not by far.
I'm way better than you.
Yeah, Ben is better than me. I am almost like, I'm basically watching it for almost the first time. Liam probably has a better idea at most things that he's seen.
I don't remember anything after episode 2.
Let's fucking go!
Yeah, me too, Liam, because I just watched it.
Liam, you don't remember?
And Noah actually paid attention.
Yeah.
So
what can I say? It's a RWBY thing. I have to read it.
you will get a different perspective as this goes on of each of ours experience, and I'm sure we'll have disagreements as I grow to love this campaign, and I get into fistfights with other people on exactly the specifics, and eventually I leave Records of Remnant because I do not believe Noah is holding up to the quality that they're setting. But I'll leave that for the schizophrenic future.
Bright future ahead.
For the schizophrenic future I go through when I get off my meds.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
But do we have any final topic? Any final not topics? Any final
Closing
words
thoughts
on the Grimm Campaign or just Supernova Safari?
Chris's forehead is really fucking big.
Oh
Yeah.
yes. From now on, we will not refer to him as Chris Coquinos. He is the forehead.
And Eddie is
We actually.
Eddie-
I
master.
referred to these specifically in the episode where Chris's forehead looks like it takes up 4/5 of his head.
No,
Because of the angle he chose for himself, and I feel so bad for
Eddie-
him.
Eddie-
And he in the second season must have realized this because he started wearing a hat and got a standing desk, so you can't tell at all.
Eddie is the ghouling or the grinning
the
ghoul.
ghoulish grin.
Eddie's grins are so frightening, and I feel so bad for him because I think they look like stress smiles, and that's why they look uncomfortable.
Yes, he does look uncomfortable. That is definitely true.
Yeah.
I think we should just call him the forehead from now on, though. Like, I remember one episode we just sat there like looking at his forehead the whole episode because it was just fucking with us because it was just massive and shiny.
We are psychotic. We are bullies. On the
It's
internet.
true. We are
If you
psychotic.
made it this far without realizing it, this is a
also-
series just to bully people.
Also, no bully, no bully.
Oh,
no
sorry,
bully.
my bad.
We're no bully.
We're not bullies.
We're making.
I'm a psychopath in Minecraft.
We are reviewing a product.
We are making.
This is for money.
What?
This is
This is
for
for money.
We are making observations. When we go on Roll20 and read out people's posts, then we might be bullying.
Nah, fuck you guys. I'm a psychopath.
I thought that was me. I thought that was
Ben.
I thought
Yeah.
I thought Ben and I were
We're
psychopaths.
at offense attack. No, fuck you guys.
I'm not crazy.
I'm with Liam. I think we need more add-ons.
I stand with Liam.
So, I hope
Yeah.
you enjoy our ongoing Supernova Safari, as we will be covering the Grimm Campaign and much more, hopefully. I mean, we've always wanted, me and Noah have always had an idea to do something like this, and now we finally kind of put it into motion because we have, like, at least a couple people that watch our stuff.
I
So
hope you
please,
guys-
continue to enjoy. If you liked our podcast, it's gone on for almost 4 hours now, Jesus.
Probably longer.
Damn it.
if-
we did
if-
too long.
I was told it only go 2.
If you... Someone want to watch 3 episodes. If you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Share it around. Tell us what you think of our podcast. Records of Remnant will still continue, as always, on Fridays, continuously every week, hopefully. If not, that's just because we had problems recording, but it'll look out Fridays. That's when we plan to release it. One Piece game, link down in the description below. Comes out Wednesdays. Very, very good. Very much recommend. Please watch all our stuff. Please engage with us. Leave us comments. We love comments. Tell us what you think. Any other thoughts?
Leave a comment if you'd like to see Liam play Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, that's a good idea. Leave a comment if you think this is tech or cringe. And hell, if you have a suggestion for the future, I mean, Supernova Safari plans to scale the globe, span the globe at one point.
Supernova Safari is literally just our excuse to really talk about like whatever. So obviously, we're D&D. We do D&D stuff already. So
it's all about tabletop.
So we like talking about tabletop. But like, if you have a recommendation on something along D&D lines,
anything to do with role playing and tabletop gaming is the foray of what the Supernova Safari will cover. So expect more variety in the future, basically.
Yeah, and catch us next week when we review the new season of iCarly.
No, I'll leave that to my boy Quentin.
Is next week when we review Batwoman.
I would.
Yeah.
We're actually going to reenact all of Batwoman.
We're actually going to cover what the mask is for, next week.
Actually, yes.
It's what the point of the mask is. So, and any final points before I end off?
Yeah. No, we're good, I think.
I think we're good.
Liam, you want to say goodbye?
Good. Goodbye, everybody.
Okay.
Missed you.
Well, see you next time.
Grab yourself a seat and keep those hands in the vehicle at all times. You're about to be taken on a ride through the untamed wilds of internet role-playing. Observe them in their natural habitat.
Okay, please don't fight each other. You're too important to die.
Enjoy the splendor of their spurgery.
Okay, you know what? Fuck this, no.
And feast your eyes upon the questionable creations of internet randoms.
Actually, I've never DM'd before.
This is the Supernova Safari.